live.
Let's go. What's up, party people? If you're watching the replay, it's always weird to have to do the greeting before people actually show up. But what is up? Today is a very special day. My streaming friends, we continue to broaden the scope of what we are doing here on the stream and what you're going to be a part of today. And that is really the hope, that this is engaging. Think of it as just chatting on Twitch, or not think of it as it literally is just chatting on Twitch. And Drew and I are prepping for the episode of the Tom Bilyeu show that we're going to be filming today. This is minus that we don't normally do it here on set. This is exactly how we prep for an episode. None of this is going to be for show. This is what we do. And I'm not entirely sure that this is going to be good TV. So we will see if this is something that you guys get into. But we are going to be able to see your comments. So as you guys come in, say what's up, ask questions, let's do your thing. And you know me, I think it is incumbent upon streamers to engage with the community. So forgive some awkwardness today. This will be us working out the kinks, but really excited to continue to expand the scope of what we're doing on stream. Very sad that when we are together, we won't just be playing video games, but excited to continue to reach a broader audience and really dial in the mono brand strategy so that wherever you find me, I'm just me. You're hearing not an isolated element of my personality, but instead really becoming a part of a community where we're going through a lot of this stuff together. And I think that'll be really interesting. So yeah, we're also, Drew and I were both in the premiere of the episode this morning. I was very excited to see my man Drew there doing his thing. So, all right, cool. You guys now see my computer, and we're going to be doing the research phase. So,
hi, can
are
I
we going to
interrupt
be able
real
to?
quick?
Yeah, you never need to ask.
Hi.
You nice. Can they see you?
Yeah.
Wait, how do we make it so they actually see you? Because you're on camera.
Yeah.
Who's doing the DJing?
She's on right now.
But you DJ it.
He's
So if I'm like Eric, Show, Drew, you nice, whatever, you got it.
I got it.
All right, so the world sees you nice right now.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes, okay.
Eunice, welcome to the show. So you promised that you were going to get me chat so I could see it. But right now I feel like you're going to.
I'm not in control of that computer. That is Mr. Drewski.
So wait, I can call it up myself.
Yeah, you can type it.
Okay. So I don't teach a man to fish. Or don't give a man
Anyway,
to fish. Teach a
I
man
wanted
fish.
to interrupt because I wanted to say
Please.
hello to everybody in the chat who's already popping
What up,
in. There's
everybody?
many people in here. Oscar in the chat. We've got Judd Ant-Man. We've got Yeti Bandit.
Yeti Bandit is in the house. Let's go.
We've got everybody saying hello. Everybody's saying that it's very pleasant to catch the stream live at this time.
Yeah, but they don't know yet that we're
Surprise.
not playing video games, so we're about
Well,
to
they
see
do know that we're
if
not
they
playing video
remain
games because
excited.
it does not say video games on there.
Yeah, but what I think about that, like every time I see my favorite streamer go live, all of a sudden they're doing something crazy. I don't know. Be a little sus.
We're adaptable. We're an adaptable community
That
here.
we are. All right, I'm going to open up chat here so that we can see what's up. All right, look at this.
Yes.
Look
just,
at this. I see a lot of familiar faces in here.
Just to reiterate what Drew says, any ideas for the show today? You guys, what we're doing today, I don't know if Tom covered it already because maybe I blacked out at the beginning. Drew and Tom are coming up with ideas, topics, things to chat about for the Tom Bilyeu show. So if you guys have any topics that you want to hear them talk about, chat about, this is your time to submit them.
It's all true.
And to bring them into chat. You know, drop some links. If you can't send them links, hit me up on
Get some hype in
Discord.
chat. Let's
Yes.
go. Let's go. And really fast, let me further set the room. So given that this, I think, look, if this ends up being just wildly unpopular and we are not able to find an audience of people that want to join us for this, we will shoot it in the face like old Yeller. But assuming that it grows in popularity, the way that the Tom Bilyeu show works is we want to know what's popping off right now in the buckets of things that we cover. So we don't cover everything. So there are going to be things that are popping off that are just outside of our wheelhouse, as it were. But if you guys understand our buckets of content that we cover and you see something popping off that you want to talk about, do let us know. And I know that we all got together originally around gaming. Gaming is definitely one of our buckets. So if there's something going on in that world, please let us know. If you want to see us cover something, if you've got a clip or a tweet that you think we need to look at. So we're going to spend about 3 hours together. Assuming, are they going to be here while we're recording the episode?
They are.
Okay, so we traditionally take between 3 and 3.5 hours to both prep and shoot the episode. So on a day where it's obvious that we know exactly what we're going to be covering just because something's really blowing up, we can prep pretty fast, and we're usually done with prep in about 2 hours. On a day where it's, maybe a little bit slower, there's nothing super obvious, it can take us a little bit longer. And so it might take us a good 2.5 hours. It's taken 3 at times to really nail it down and make it something that we think is going to be worth watching. But that'll be the gig. So Drew and I are just going to watch a bunch of clips, passings back and forth. And to make this better TV, you guys will be able to see the things that I'm watching. And then if Drew finds something that's interesting, just brace yourselves for this has to be actual prep time. I don't have time to make this a separate thing, which means I'm going to be watching clips at 2x. So buckle in because they're going to come at you fast.
I got a dirty pitch for you. Tesla turns toxic as sales crash in Europe and the UK. And I think that is an interesting
Tesla culture turns toxic, or the stock?
Like the sales, because the brand is now associated with Elon, who is a
I wondered about that. People were talking about this today.
Yeah.
That why is he doing this? He's going to end up absolutely smashing his sales record or his sales numbers because his whole thing was, hey, climate change, dumb thing, shouldn't do it. And now to have backed a party perceived as being anti-climate change,
that's rolling back.
It's going to be. So you're saying they're actually seeing that now in the data?
Sales have crashed in Europe and the UK.
Give me numbers. What does crashed mean?
13% in 2024.
13% down.
13% down in Europe.
So 24 was 13% down over 23.
Yes.
Okay.
And then in France, sales of new Teslas fell by 63%.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
The total sales in the country fell by 6%.
Was that, again, 24 compared to 23?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was actually a 24 problem. I'd be curious to know how much of it is tied to the political stuff versus how much is tied to the purchase of X. Mm-hmm. Because he's been popping off for a lot longer than he's been actually in a political arena.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Yeah, look, man.
I mean, but he's been on the trail since the summertime. So I would, even if the 63, let's say 40% of that is before he became politically affiliated. Like that's
still big.
Yeah, that's still significant.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Well, he is going to live or die by his... I'm going to say what I believe to be true, and if there are financial consequences, so it will be. I'm definitely down to talk about that if we have something to anchor around, like if we've got a tweet or something.
Yeah, I'm looking at articles. It was just
I want to make sure that we don't, it's not just sort of rough numbers, that we actually give a hard breakdown. LeBlanc, what's up, brother? LeBlanc says, hey, Tom, do you view climate change as an actual concern or as a political fad? Countries have dealt with changing weather since the start of the 1800s, had mini freeze. Yeah, so I think that climate change is real. I think it's one of the most important things in terms of the safety and security of a nation and their economy. But I think we are reacting as if we can control the weather. And that's where I think we run into problems. So the way that Elon talked about climate change when he first started doing Tesla, to me, was always the right way to talk about it, which is, hey, we don't know for sure that this is man-made, but we are pumping a ton of CO2 into the atmosphere, and this seems like the world's dumbest test to run. So let's not do that, and instead, let's find a way to transition to electric. Now, the deeper you go into it, the more you realize that some of these renewable energies are not as clean as we thought. And so this is where people have to start getting very thoughtful about the fact that you can make a cure that is worse than the disease. And so that's where I think we were headed, is there is some weird Klaus Schwab globalist agenda that maybe is coming from a good place, but they're just not really being thoughtful about there's a reality to be faced that when you look at what money is I'm able to capture the value of my time in that moment in a way where it stores the value of that time into the future. Okay. I know that's abstract, but once you start thinking of it like that, then you go, oh, wait a second. What am I actually exchanging my time for? The most important thing anybody will ever buy is access to energy. That's just everything modern is based on that. I mean, everything, even back in agriculture times, I don't know if there is a point at which you go back far enough that it isn't based on that, because ultimately you get back to getting the calories for your body, which is energy, is the most important thing in your life. So I'm just going to stick with all throughout human history, the most important thing you could buy is access to energy. Okay, so if that's true, then people are going to care very much about the cost of energy. And if we are creating a solution that is very much worse than the disease in that you're driving the cost of energy way, 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 way up, you're going to have a problem on your hands. And this is why I think that you also see a corresponding push for reducing populations. And that one would open up a whole new fractal. So I'll stop there. And apparently me saying fractal has become our next drinking game. Yeah.
If I may interrupt again.
Yeah, please.
We've got a sub.
Let's go.
From-
I don't hear any dings and bings and stuff.
I'm your ding and your bing
All
here.
right. Well, I'm gonna need way more interesting sounds. There it is. Okay.
Dap Ice 135.
Let's go.
We've got a sub. They've been subbed for 4 months.
Come
they
on,
said,
yo.
"Hello, everyone."
Well, Dap Ice, let's
That's
go.
it.
Thank you for being here.
Dap
I love
Ice,
it the
thank
most.
you. And we've got quite a few comments. I'll read them out to you. We've got William. I'd love your take on the anti-Elon thing going on. I think it's crazy. People are protesting about what he's doing at Doge. Is that how you say it? Dog?
Oh my God.
Hey.
How is it
Chill.
possible that somebody that works at
Bro.
this company as closely to me as she does is like, Dogie,
Doggy.
Dogga, what is this?
Is the E
That is
silent?
crazy. That is
I'll
crazy.
say it as an acronym. It's what he's doing
Doge.
at DOGE. Bro is just asking questions, pointing out crazy spending and recommending next steps to the president's office. I might only be seeing one side of the story, so can you steelman the Elon hate and give us your thoughts?
That's very
Now before you do that,
Yeah.
let me get through it.
Yep.
Slim Core, first time chatter, saying hi. Welcome, Slim Core.
What's up,
Welcome
Slim
in.
Core?
Martin
We love
says,
first-time chatters around here.
Martin says, we did notice a change in nature and air pollution during the COVID lockdown with the planes. And Yeti Bandit has said, my take is that the government has gone into a place where you can't do what needs to be done using processes in place.
Wait, say that one again?
My take is that the government has gotten into a place where you can't do what needs to be done using processes in place.
Got it. So you need to overhaul the government.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Well, you're not going to hear any disagreement from me on that one. Okay, so going back to Wheel IM's question, which, by the way, to shout him out, Will is on our team here. Very interesting guy. And okay, so here is how I look at the people that hate Elon. So one, I like that you're asking for a steel man of the other side rather than, because I think Elon is... he's a mixed bag. Everybody's a mixed bag. So I don't think that everything that he's doing is good. And I don't think his motives are pure or anything like that. But I think that his motives are pure enough. And I think that when you have the opportunity to get the greatest business mind of certainly a generation, to get them to look at a problem like government spending at a moment where the people have said, we're very ready for this, I think you definitely have to take advantage of that. Okay, but what is the steel man of the people that think this is a problem? This goes back to a concept called oligarchy. Oligarchy literally the word means rule by the few. Now, you can rule by the few. Right now, everybody assumes oligarchy actually means rule by the rich. It does not, and historically, you've had many things other than wealth that people were ruled by, religion being the easiest one to come to mind. Rule by the most physically powerful is another one. So it just means rule by the small number of people. So that sounds immediately bad. And I think most people go, well, wait a second, I'm in a democracy. I don't want this thing. What I would like to do is I would very much like to have a true democracy. I want people to not be manipulated by the richest man on earth. And so their position goes something like this. To get wealthy, you have already created some sort of crime. There was some sort of fraud or embezzlement. You did something immoral at the best case scenario. It's just immoral to have that amount of money. Most people point to Elon as basically somebody that leveraged the government subsidies to build these gigantic companies. And then basically during the pandemic was able to get a hold of a compensation package that is so disgusting and so disrespectful to his workers that it should be turned down in the court system, which they did, which is shocking to me, but nonetheless true. So you have a guy in their minds who is inherently corrupt, that's been corrupted by money, that leveraged the government to build these big businesses, who simply takes credit for other people's work, doesn't do anything himself. And he is an unelected bureaucrat. So the very thing that Elon is saying that he is railing against, he has become. And so ultra rich guy running the government out just in the open, and he's going in and he's taking funds away from your grandma. He's taking funds away from your kids. Like, he's just going in and essentially stealing taxpayer money. Not essentially. I've heard people literally say he's stealing taxpayer money. So they feel like rich people who have already ruined the world are now brazenly out in public, manipulating the president of the United States to terraform the government to be better for his business and to make him a lot of money. That is the steel man of their position. I think they would recognize that position. Now the question becomes, how accurate is that? So to me, it is not accurate, but to me, you don't want to give anybody your blind trust. You want everybody to be beholden to KPIs. And so what are the KPIs? The KPIs here are going to be that you have got to reduce deficit spending, period, full stop, end of story. So waste, fraud, and abuse is one of the ways that we're going to reduce deficit spending. And to reduce that, he's going to have to go in and just run these things like a business. And this is the part where this all gets tricky as to, are people being sincere in their outrage, or do they see an opportunity to get people sincerely outraged? And I have a feeling it's a bit of column A and B. They probably are pretty pissed. This guy represents a lot of an attack on their power, but also they know that it is extremely useful to rile other people's emotions up, and that you can get this guy out from a political standpoint, because if you're a Democrat, the Republicans are your political enemy. And we are at a really dangerous place in American politics right now where people are just really at each other's throats. So no bueno.
Two quick questions really quick.
Yep.
Do you play Switch? Nintendo?
I have played Switch, and I have one, but not very frequently.
Copy. Battlefield, EA just came out and said they're going to delay Battlefield because it's going to be a nuanced year, meaning they're trying to avoid the GTA 6 competition.
That's interesting.
It reminds me like when rappers push their album back because they're like, oh, I'm not dropping on that person's day.
Correct.
Do you think
that's just smart?
Yeah, but I feel like it's video games.
No.
It's still
it's going to suck all the oxygen out of the room. Because if they're smart, what they're thinking is who's going to cover the release of my game? Yeah. Streamers. What are streamers incentivized to play and talk about? Whatever is the biggest thing in that moment. How many months will GTA be the #1 streamed thing by a country mile?
Yeah.
And it's possible that GTA eats 4 to 6 months of awareness, where it's just like, no matter what you do, it's just so much lower than the average content creator doing a cool new thing on GTA. Now, how long that takes for that to wear off, I don't know. Maybe it wears off a lot faster. Yeah. But they're all like, it's not like you have to worry about a week or a weekend. You've got to worry about months. 6 months. Because first it's just the announcement. People go check out the game. And then it's the content creators doing crazy shit that you never could have imagined. And it's all novel and it's all new. And people are just going to flood in. And so it's going to be the thing. Everyone's going to want to be there because there's all the cultural energy around it. And it's just going to suck the oxygen out of the room. And so now if you're a public company and you think, wait, for 6 months, I'm not going to be able to compete even in dollars and cents, let alone awareness, because all the skin dollars and all that stuff, it's all going to be going to GTA. And so now if I hold my game for a year, let's say I make 100% more revenue, 200% more revenue. Like it's going to have those kinds of cataclysmic impacts. And if you're a publicly traded company and you miss your expectations by a couple 100 million, people start to seizure.
Yeah.
So you really have to be thoughtful. Now, nobody wants to come out and just say, well, GTA 6 is going to be way bigger than whatever we're building. And so you got to say it's a nuanced year. And, if they were pressed, I'm sure some of it's going to say, like there's just a lot of tension in the country. There's a lot of global conflict. We just want to see this kind of settle down. Like they're going to distract because the other stuff makes them sound like good people. And saying that GTA 6 is going to teabag you, that does not sound quite so cool. So you probably won't see a lot of messaging direct around it.
I'm the captain now.
You're the captain now, Eunice.
Okay, real quick. Are you you're a huge Switch person, so you're so excited for Switch 2?
Yeah, I love the Switch. Yes, I love Nintendo. I love everything.
I wouldn't have
about
guessed from your outfit.
Can we talk about the outfit? It's fit check time.
I think we
need a theme song. Fit check.
This is the fit.
Can you please buy a whole lot more? You are the closest to wearing skins in real life. And I am here for it.
You know what? I love.
Buy a whole lot more is crazy.
Listen. If they made different animals,
yeah,
I would have bought them.
That's what I'm saying, though.
But
somebody
didn't.
somewhere does, like Etsy or something.
Listen,
it's too clutch.
Somebody has a Fox overall that we just need to get.
That's what I'm saying. We've got Bunny.
Oh my gosh, the outfit should be mandatory for all IT team, including Tom.
That's false. But
that's what I'm talking about, Oscar.
You have a chance to have a unique brand and to be a unique character in this whole drama, because we're over here talking about climate change and shit, and then we cut to you and you're in a bunny suit, and I just cannot tell you how much I am fucking here for this. It is
it's the balance that the world needs right now.
It fits the brand. Someday we will cut to you and you're just going to be like an anime avatar. And then I'm like, all right, she's 2D the whole nine. I'm here for
This
it.
is my brand.
Sign
This
me
is
up.
my brand.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to get you to lean into the brand.
I'm leaning into it. Look at me. I'm in a bunny
Day one.
overall.
If we get it day one through every day, then
type
one
in
through
the
every
chat for Eunice's overall. Let's go.
Thank you.
We're never going to prepare for this episode, though. I can already see.
We are not.
All right, back to me being the captain. We've got a few follows. First of all, thank you Slimcore for the follow. Thank you Goku's Hair Gel for the follow.
By the way,
Yeti Bandit is asking, is Tom drinking tea right now?
False.
False. That is a no. We've got William saying they don't want the GTA smoke. We've got
the GTA smoke.
Oscar asking, what is your craziest sci-fi writer take on what AI will do for video games? Trying to predict the traffic jam?
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, for all the hype on the outfit. I really appreciate it. And LeBlanc says, how fast do you predict automation to be in the next few years? Highly noticeable or slow buildup?
Automation is going to be very fast. You're going to start seeing the test pilots in 25. You're going to know somebody who loses their job in 26. And by 27, you're probably at 20%. Manual labor force are robots. It's going to happen very fast. So that is definitely my take on that. Going back to, there was an earlier question before that you read off. What was the first one that you read?
The first one was from Oscar. What is your craziest sci-fi writer take on what AI will do for video games? Trying to predict the traffic jam?
Ready Player One is the vision. On a long enough timeline, imagine the world you live in, replete with economies and things like that, but entirely fantasy, not real world. We almost certainly, just mathematically speaking, in fact, let me back up. You guys know that the universe is not locally real, right? This is crazy. Now, meaning...
You can't just say that.
Okay, what that means is, when you look at something, it's there. When you stop looking at it, it instantly turns into a probability cloud. Now, just for a second, assume that's not a misunderstanding of the laws of physics. These guys just won the Nobel Prize in physics for this because they proved it. Imagine that that's actually true. That it's not like a metaphor that you're misunderstanding, meaning when I'm looking at you, you are there. And as soon as I look away, you turn into a probability cloud. And then when I look back, you render and I see you again. Ever heard of anything that renders when you look at it? A video game. So in a video game, to make it run on the hardware, as soon as you aren't looking at something, it's not being drawn. It's only when you look back that you then re-render that thing. And the fact that they've proven this, it's absolutely crazy that information can travel faster than light. Not only faster than light, that it travels instantaneously is insane. The fact that the double slit experiment is real, meaning if you shoot individual protons through, you have two slits and you shoot an individual proton through the slit, it either goes through one slit or the other, just has to. But you do it, the pattern that it puts on the wall behind the two slits is only possible if it was traveling as a wave, meaning that it went through both slits at the same time. That's not possible. You shot a single photon of light. It's not possible for it to be a particle and go through two of those slits, but nonetheless it does, unless you put some sort of measuring device on it. The second you put a measuring device, then it shows that it only went through one. The same fucking photons. Take the measuring device away, turns back into a wave, meaning it goes through both again. Put the measuring device there, it goes through only one.
So when you observe the universe, it changes.
When you observe the universe, it becomes real. When you don't observe the universe, it is a probability pattern. Okay, now, proven. So let that sit. Now you go into analogy and you start saying, that's interesting. When a thing that we have now that is like that is a video game. And if the reason that we experience the world the way that we do is because it's running on the same information architecture that you would run a video game, a rules-based system, but it's a simulation so that it isn't a one-to-one locally real. It's not locally real. Then it's like, And then if you run the math and say, okay, well, if a simulation or if we were ground reality and we can see that we are pushing towards a simulation, which is why this whole answer is truly an answer to that question. If we are going to build a simulation and you give any degree of progress whatsoever, even if it takes 1,000 years from now, 2,000 years from now, but we know that it will eventually become indistinguishable from real life, then we know that within that, we will want to run simulations to say, well, now that we're sufficiently advanced and this is indistinguishable from reality, let's start making those simulations. And if that's true, then it is mathematically not just a little more likely that you're in one of the simulations, because they'll just recursively, each simulation makes a simulation, makes a simulation, makes a simulation. It is infinitely more mathematically plausible that you are in a simulation rather than base reality. Once I realized, because for a long time I was like, nah, I get it, but just intuitionally that just I can't wrap my head around it. Doesn't seem like the right way to think about the world. And then I realized that the universe was proven to be not real locally. And I was like, shit, I don't know how to make that make sense unless this is a simulation. So you put those two together and it's like, whoa, I won't say that we know because too often something else gets proven and you're like, oh, actually, wait, sorry, psych. It is locally real. So I certainly leave myself open to that, but yowza. Pretty crazy. So that's where this goes on a long enough timeline. It becomes indistinguishable from reality, but we don't make boring realities like this. We make realities where there's really dragons and the ability to dodge bullets and all kinds of shit like that. At least that's what I plan to build. So cheers to that.
Cheers. Rollerbalders in chat saying, hey, Tom Bilyeu.
What's
Belated
up?
thanks for the gifted sub over from Bush Camp Dad stream.
Oh, let's go.
Thanks, Rollerbalder.
We love us some Bush Camp Dad. Well, thank you for joining us here. An absolute pleasure. I feel a little bad that you found us from Bush Camp because I imagine you expected me to be playing video games right now, not talking about simulation theory. But nonetheless, I absolutely love Bush Camp Dad. He is the reason I decided to try game streaming. Yeah, very impressed with him. Very impressed. And I've spent a lot of time in his streams. So it's It's wonderful to see some of the fellow bush campers over here.
We've got Magentera saying, I have issues with theory. It's got to be wrong for one simple fact.
Let's hear it.
Measuring requires an exchange between photons or another field, but that it's occurring at all times in all space-time, not just our measuring experiment. Wouldn't the probability be collapsing at all times regardless? And then they said, ignore my typos.
It is a very good question, and it gets into the what do we consider it to be monitored? And so I have a feeling that the reason so much of the world is fully rendered is that it is actually, how much of the world can we prove is rendered? This is where probability clouds come in. I don't know that it becomes a question of what is measurement. For instance, if you put that measuring device there and then no conscious being ever came back to see it, would it still all be probability clouds? Is it consciousness that collapses it down, or is it simple measurement that collapses it down? I don't see. This is another reason this feels like I'm deep into sci-fi writer territory. I do not understand any of this. I want to be very clear. But when I think about a game has to say, this thing is the final arbiter of whether I'm going to render it or not. And this thing in a simulation would be consciousness. So I have a feeling, even if you have a measuring device there, if that measuring device is not being observed by a conscious being, that it would not collapse the wave function down to a static point. That's my gut instinct.
We've got LeBlanc saying, hey Tom, since you're talking about simulation, what if there's an AI system that can subvert the local laws of governance in a way where it acts like a cancerous cell, subverts the rules, but can't be fought against because it's recognized as self? There's also some people in the chat saying, we're not big brain enough for these topics, Tom.
Hey, I'm answering what you guys asked.
How about that rain? Am I right?
Only
Shout out to William on that one.
I am. Okay, so wait, go back to LeBlanc's question.
Says, hey Tom, since you're talking about simulation, what if there's an AI system that can subvert the local laws of governance in a way where it acts like a cancerous cell subverts the rules, but can't be fought against because it's recognized as self?
I think you're going wrong with the but can't be fought against because it's recognized as self. That just isn't the way that you would trip that, because at that point all you're saying is I want them to look like real humans, that they would be indistinguishable to the human mind from a normal human being, but humans are more than happy to fight against humans. So the way that it would subvert, if you mean systems as in just you're making the ultimate AI virus, it's always going to be an AI arms race between the viruses and the people trying to stop it. So call that more or less a wash. You'll have moments of trauma where they take over a system for a little while, just like we do now. But I don't expect, unless only one country has super intelligence, I don't think you're going to see anything asymmetrical. And I think this stuff will happen close enough in timing across a lot of different companies. You're not going to see a moment like that. But what becomes more troubling is there is a reason that U.S. aid has gotten itself in trouble for financing groups like they were doing something in Cuba. I forget the name of it, but basically they were doing what they called digital coups, where they were trying to manipulate the sentiment of the public to get them to revolt against the government. Now, if you've been paying attention to the TikTok stuff, that's going to make you go, hey, wait a second, that sounds familiar. So part of the reason I think the U.S. government responded so quickly to the TikTok thing is that they're like, yeah, we do that. So game recognized game, as it were. So we'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, I think AI will certainly be used to try to control the conversation. This is why DeepSeek was freaking people out, because it's clearly been trained by the Chinese government. And as people outsource more and more of their thinking to AI, you can manipulate them very, very easily. So that's real. That's why you really need a maximally truth-seeking AI. Like that needs to be your North Star. Will it be the North Star? That's a whole different question.
I would love to hear about some topics that you guys are planning on covering for this Tom Bilyeu show.
I agree very wholeheartedly. So did you hear me that the thing that Will proposed? I thought that was good. To Steel Man, the Elon thing. I like that a lot. Are you seeing anything pop off on
MicroStrategy has transformed into Strategy, the first Bitcoin treasury company. So Michael Saylor,
they just changed their name.
Yeah, full rebrand. But I mean, I don't even know if he's selling software anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So not just a name change. We've made enough money now. We're just gonna do the strategy. You know, I want to talk about that because that gets into my whole gambling thesis. And
Strategy is the world's first and largest Bitcoin treasury company. Like full stop. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. If you have any community questions from people that have challenged me on this isn't gambling, please pull those up. I definitely want a chance. Was it you that said you saw that one in chat? Grab that, send that to Drew, please.
Yes, sir.
Because I want to talk about that. Yeah, I don't understand what people are trying to convince me of when they're like, this isn't gambling. It's like, look up the definition of gambling. It is definitionally gambling. But I would love for people to steel man. I mean, I can steel man worst case, but hit me with their best shot, Drew.
Hit me with your best shot. Are we going to get copyrighted if I start singing?
Not unless you sing well. I think if you sing poorly, like if I sing, we're okay. Do you have a good voice?
I can hold a tune.
Yeah?
Not like
Is that you underplaying and like secretly you actually perform on the weekends?
No,
or?
I'm actually musical, but I would never like sing.
Interesting. What's your instrument of choice?
I played the saxophone growing up. So
okay. You were one of the cool kids. I was on
Lisa
trombone.
Simpson over
The
here.
exact opposite of the cool kids.
Lisa Simpson is crazy. The trombone.
Yeah.
But so you play jazz then?
Yeah.
Jazz music is exciting.
Jazz music is terrible, and I hate everything about it. And
That's crazy.
am horrible.
Don't say that.
At playing it. Wait, you like jazz?
You like jazz? You remember that? No, you don't.
I literally have no idea.
Yeah,
what is
I
the
was like,
bunny
please
woman
put the camera
talking
on her
about?
for that? Please, can we zoom in?
Nobody will get that reference, I fear.
I certainly do.
Did you guys not watch B Movie?
No.
That's right. McKay.
What's B movie?
Did we really?
I have no idea what this is.
You like jazz?
Yeah, help
Yes.
me. I know not of what they speak.
It's crazy.
Why
Jazz
has
is
my
classic.
little win? There we go.
Okay. McKay, get in here. Come on. Come sit down. Come sit down, McKay.
They can come at me, bro.
Come at me. For
They can come at me, bro.
Tom's on stream feeling it. Let's
And
go one by
yeah,
one.
they're
Tom
gonna
versus
have some
everybody.
real basic questions to answer.
Jumping between musicals and jazz, it's getting real heated.
And we love La La
Let's
Land.
go. I want to know which of these
You get out of
people
here.
like jazz, because if they don't have some street cred, no, I'm not here for it.
Some street cred.
Like, I'm going to ask them, there was a famous musician whose last name was Monk. What was his first name? Don't you dare, because I know you know. But if
That was coded.
if these guys
know, I
don't get
know.
it, then I'm not here for it. I'm not even going to stand for claims that they're into jazz.
Did you know that
Yeti Bandit played trumpet. Let's go.
the dude that did Family Guy? He had the #1 jazz album for like 2 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, Seth MacFarlane. Yeah.
He's a trip. I don't know what to do with that guy. Imagine Tara is with you on the I Like Jazz. He says he hears it daily.
Oh my gosh, we're hearing 4 Cap 10 2 La La Land is in my top 10 favorite movies. Thank you. Bless your. I hear McKay booing, and that's not good.
Yes, Yeti Bandit, you missed, but our boy Roller Balder got it. That is correct.
Thelonious.
Thelonious Monk. Now, who in this room owns, back when CDs were a thing, Thelonious Monk CDs? I hope it isn't only me as the one throwing shade on jazz. I have sampled the jazz world, boys and girls. I'm not saying this without first giving it a try. I played jazz music for like 6 years. just ain't my thing. Ain't my
That's
thing.
what, yeah, the trombone is soulful too, especially in that like jazz capacity.
No. I'll take it back. Maybe Coleman X plays the mean trombone, but not a fan. Okay, back to the show.
So yeah, I have the tab going, and I started throwing stuff on there. So Bitcoin is on there. The two.
When you say
question,
Bitcoin, you mean our
the
boy.
MicroStrategy,
Yup.
The AI, Google, they dropped the promise not to make AI weapons. And how you just said that.
And that they removed it though.
Yeah,
that's
removed
the
that, yeah.
conversation. Yeah.
And then the Politico thing. And then I have a relationship.
Politico,
link
strong
in.
magic. Okay. We don't have a heartbeat yet though.
we don't have a third yet.
We've got a question coming in.
Hit us with it.
It says, Tom, do you think eliminating the Department of Education would lead to more innovation and efficiency in the U.S. education system? Or would it risk further eroding the quality of education and workforce?
So eliminating the Department of Education will not automatically do anything other than cut expenses, which I think is a very good thing. But I do want to be clear that we are going to have to look at, because they will have created a culture that will survive even after they're removed. So what was it that we were doing right before that we're not doing now? What is it like if we want to get the world hashtag China Kids as requested by Drew? I'd like to remind everybody that Drew requested the China Kids. The funny thing is I'm actually so into it. I just love that I get to point the world at you. So what is it that we really want for our children? And right now, I don't think most Americans are behind the idea of high standards, hard work. I just don't think that's where we're at as a country right now. So you're not going to get China Kids until it's high standards, hard work. High standards, hard work, and many, many, many people left behind. Like China doesn't give a fuck. Like if you don't meet standards, peace.
High standards, hard work, and many people left behind.
Yeah. Just like, cool. Yep. Those kids don't qualify. And because they don't qualify, they're going to have a worse life. Like China just does not have a problem saying that. Like, yeah, got to hit these test scores. So for a long time, we had I don't know if he's a citizen, but he's lived in the US for a very long time, working for us legal. He was here legally, but grew up in China. And he was an artist and he was like, they make you take tests. And if you're not in the top whatever percent, you're just not going to get into those schools. That's that. And there's no way to pay your way in. It is a skills-based promotional system. I was like, damn. So China don't play.
Everybody, we can't save everybody. Like
you literally can't save everybody.
And I think that's the hard part.
Yup. What's going on in Dagestan? Why are they trending in business and finance?
Real quick, thank you, Juan
Khabib doing
Antonio, for
something?
the follow. And we've got Yeti Bandit saying, I'm not sure it would have much of an effect. The states would need a startup vibe to do that. Unfortunately, I'm guessing none do. Rollerballer
They would need to
says
start a what?
a startup vibe to do
They
that.
would need a startup vibe.
Yes. We've got Roller Balder saying it's a cultural thing that I think we're too far gone to achieve. And
Yeah,
we've got,
I think you're too far gone to achieve at the like public level, but because in America you really still can class hop, that it is going to be very interesting. The kids that are about to grow up now over the next, if you get a Republican government with this deregulate energy, grow the economy energy, strong America energy, and you get 8 years of it, you're going to get a generation of kids that work hard, bust ass, push forward, like do their thing, because that will just be the soup they grow up in. And so that will be interesting to see what happens. That's what it felt like in the Reagan era. That's why this kid from Tacoma on the outskirts growing up with cows for neighbors was like, I can do anything I want. I can get rich. Like I can go to the big city. I mean, that's literally what my life felt like. Because not only did my parents say it, it was just everywhere. It was in every movie. It was in everything the politicians were saying. It was like, we're the best. We dominate the world. You can do anything you set your mind to. Elbow grease. Like, I mean, it's just that whole vibe. And so if we can get that back.
We need to go the other way too, though. I think we need to bring back economic incentives, because there was a time
For what? Incentives for?
that if I work hard and I do the elbow grease, I'll get ahead.
You have to. That's the whole point.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is I think that there was a time where when I first moved to Phoenix, this was 2014. I legitimately met a dude. His wife was a teacher. He worked at Starbucks, and they owned a home.
Yeah.
And, like, those people don't exist anymore.
Right.
So I think that the whole
They caught the last bit of that window. That is for sure.
Yeah, so they caught. So that's what I'm saying is like now asking this next generation.
Drew, do you know what happened in 2008 that rippled through the system such that by not long after 2012, 2013, that became impossible?
The market crisis, the housing crisis.
Yeah, but what did that cause?
The Great Recession.
You don't have a guess? If this were a drinking game, what would be the wise thing to guess?
Inflation.
Correct. They started inflating money. Because here's the thing that people lose sight of. They think the house became more valuable. It didn't. Your dollar just got weakened. And so now all of a sudden the house is worth $240,000 when before it was like $125,000. People are like, what the fuck?
It also doesn't help that mutual funds can own single family houses. And I think if you just add that supply back onto the market, I think that can greatly impact the just a supply demand problem. If you have more supply, that demand will decrease a little bit, the price will decrease a little bit. We'll see kind of that happen. But
Now, why do I think that might be not as big of a solution as you think?
because you still think inflation is at the root of everything.
That's correct. The house is going to be priced in the labor today. It won't be priced in the labor back in the day. And so all those labor prices have gone up. So they're going to build more houses, and it will help, don't get me wrong, because of supply and demand, as simply as you're saying.
But even building more houses, that we have enough houses now. It's just that mutual funds have a lot of the houses, and families no longer have access to houses. And I think we should just remove that middleman.
Yeah, you do have a big problem with
That's an uphill battle.
If by BlackRock
Yes.
is the largest gobbler of
Berkshire Hathaway is not too far away.
Yeah.
Everybody, Warren Buffett is quiet, but he's just up there with them. So
you go where the money is.
Yeah.
You know somebody's going to need a house.
yeah.
We've got Magentera saying, what happened in 1971?
Well, the most important thing to happen in 1971 was that Mark Andreessen was born. No, I'm kidding, but he always posts that. The real answer is that's when we went off the gold standard, and that's how we got fiat money. So,
Fiat money?
yep.
Like the car.
Exactly.
Yes.
See?
Just like
the
the
car
car.
company made the money,
Yeah.
and then now they make cars.
Something tells me that's not
I was
right.
like, if she buys it,
I was going to say,
She immediately looked at you.
Yes.
for a minute, she was like,
something tells me that's not right.
when you said that, though, I gained a whole new level of that's like dad level trolling right there. We now know what it's like to be Lynn.
It's built in.
All right. We've got some more questions.
Hit us with them.
We've got one saying, Tom, you talk a lot about where to put your money, but what if you are paycheck to paycheck but want to prepare for the future?
Yeah.
Suggestions for starting at $5 investment, Bitcoin, stocks, meme coins? That's
Literally,
it. That's the end
yes.
of the question.
Yeah, you just have to start. So this becomes a risk appetite question. There's a guy we need to get on our show. I sent him to you today. I forget his name right now, but he turned, and I'll address the number here in a second, but he turned 20,000 into like 35 million, doing what he calls social trends. So just being aware of the social trends. Now, needless to say, I do not trust myself or anybody else to make money doing that level of gambling. I think that's a huge mistake, but it does go to show if you get into the market that you at least have a shot of keeping up with inflation. So anywhere that I tell you to put your money, you have to understand it's just massive, massive risk. So I'm always telling people what I do, but I don't consider myself a good investor. So we'll see over time if I'm wrong, and maybe I really am. I don't know, but I'm very defensive. So I'm not like trying to grow my wealth. I'm trying to protect my wealth. So that's very important to understand. You want to be as close to Ray Dalio's all-weather fund as you can be, unless you're going to become a full-time trader. And that looks like 12-ish uncorrelated asset classes. Now, I think Ray makes it sound easy. I think in reality, most people aren't going to do that, which means that you're going to be in something like an index fund. It's still got a huge weakness to it in that they're correlated. But if you don't try to time the market, but you just try to spend a lot of time in the market, if you were putting away you know, like, can you do $5 a day? I mean, if you could do $5 a day, that starts to compound pretty fast. And if you're getting, you know, compounding interest at like 3 or 4%, like now you're really starting to talk money. To give you an idea, 2% over 10 years is it's like 17.8% growth. So it 4% obviously becomes double that. So that's just in 10 years. So I think they say, excuse me, in the stock market, it takes 7 years to double your money. That's pretty crazy. So if you really can double your money in 7 years, it's a pretty good place to be. Now, there are no guarantees that past performance equals future performance, but nonetheless, that's where we're at. Hey, Eric, can I get another water by any chance? Thank you, good sir.
And we've got another question.
Hit me.
Real quick. It says, Tom Bilyeu, what does the American dream evolve into if AI starts leveling the field in the most, quote, optimistic, end quote, scenarios, reducing costs to nothing and optimizing systems that are inefficient and terrible?
Mm-hmm.
Will the main goals move towards skill acquisition for personal entertainment?
It's going to be a lot weirder than that. So this is where you have to think from first principles. Right now, human beings are wired for certain things. What are those certain things? The acquisition of power is one of them. Humans are just here for that. Humans do pursue disproportionate access to resources. We would call that getting rich now, but that won't be what it is in the future. So the question is, what will be that thing that people pursue? I don't know. But you don't have to look much farther than Mark Jacobs and his husband to see what happens when a desire to stand out goes wrong. If you guys, in fact, I'm the one driving. So what I show here will actually get shown, right?
We have to share your screen now.
Because this is crazy.
Hold on 1 second. Click this bottom down here.
This?
Yep. And then
Hello, all.
Do this.
While
search
we
here.
wait for them to fix the computer, I will say hi to you guys in the chat. Dap Ice, hi.
popping up. You can do the computer, Eric.
Yeah, the computer. Yeti Bandit.
Yeah, now they can see what.
Yeah, it was the first meme coin, LOL. Lol.
All right. They just went to an event together, but it's very important to see the before. So this is what he looked like before, and this is what he looks like now.
Sheesh.
Now, he is not unaware that he looks absolutely artificial. That's the kind of thing that's going to happen when humans no longer compete for economics. They're going to compete for attention. They're going to compete for, I'm the best at this, whatever. We have an innate drive for meaning and purpose to separate ourselves from the pack. And so you are going to see weird shit. I'm not saying everybody's going to do dumb stuff, but I'm just saying don't think that all these human impulses go away. Like humans still gonna human. It's just going to be in a totally different way. And so there's something called the Gini coefficient. Once this locks into your brain, like it really changes how you see the world. It doesn't matter your level of wealth or poverty. What matters is your relative level of wealth or poverty. And so despite my wealth, there are people that make me feel like a pauper. And it makes me laugh because I know how absurd it is, but I still have the impulse of like, if I go see, like, in fact, this is terrible now because it's a P. Diddy story, but my wife and I went to his 50th birthday party, and I didn't meet him or anything like that. You're at a gigantic party. And it was like 3 days after we bought this house. So we buy this house and it's like crazy. We're freaking out. Like, oh, I cannot believe we live in this house. This is insane. And then we go to his house, and in the foyer is a painting that costs almost as much as my house. And I was like, God damn, there are levels to this shit. And I was like, I was just scandalized. I didn't even know what to do with that. I was like, this is hilarious. Like the fact that happened 3 days after, I bought this big fancy house. I can't believe I can afford this. This is crazy. And then you're like, oh shit. Like there's people with art that costs as much as my very fancy house.
Jeez.
So the relative amount of wealth or poverty is what matters. And so people want to distinguish themselves. How will we do that in a world of plenty? I don't yet know, but it will first be really weird and then rapidly normalized. And so is that going to be who can turn themselves into a robot the fastest? I don't know. We'll see. But people are going to play weird games for sure.
We've got a question asking, maybe not.
You're not a fan?
What?
They didn't pass the U-Nice filter?
It's just that I don't get it. So if I say it out loud, I don't want to be held liable. So I will be refrain.
Is it more about fiat dollar cars?
No, it's in the chat though.
Okay,
who?
did that mean that you guys no longer see my screen? I can.
They're
only-
seeing you two right now.
So inside of that window.
All right, so I need
Yeah.
now to go to
Yeah.
whatchamacallit, X. Are all my accounts loaded up at least? Nope.
Oh, you're me. Oh, because you're controlling that thing. So yeah. Because you're
Wow.
driving Eric's laptop. You're not.
We're about to put your
Hey.
feed on blast here.
My feed is perfect.
Let's see what happens.
All right. Sorry, Eunice. Where is the question?
In the Twitch chat.
You're really not going to say it out
From
loud?
wh-
That's
from which-
hilarious.
which
She's like,
person?
no, I'm not doing this.
Rollerbalder. It's just that I don't get it. I don't know the whole situation. So I don't, I'm not going to be put out there like that.
But you can just read the words.
It says,
Yeah, I can't wrap my.
all right, I'll just say it. Back to your painting story. They said, was it ... in oil painting?
Yeah, it was an oil.
Why is it ... though?
That I don't know. Baby oil, yeah. maybe it's a riff on
Oh,
that.
that was good. A baby oil paint. Oh, that was
Yeah.
fun.
That's crazy.
I thought it was good. Whoever said it, great job. That guy's a writer.
But no, it was. This was a traditional oil painting. And there was no.
They are
I
now
mean, if
saying-
you've got 1,000 bottles of baby
They
oil,
are
do you
now
not
saying-
put out for the guests. It's like, come on.
They are now saying, I regret my comment. I am a writer.
Hey, that was witty. I see that. I could tell. That was good. Oscar, no, we need help. Please send topics. We're struggling right now. All right. You're good on water, Tom?
I am thinking. I'd take another one just in case I want one that's pure water.
Eric, you good?
I'm good. I just, yeah, once you come back, I'll go to the restroom and see. Quick,
I'll pop in here, say hello. We've got Just Covino Hi. Say it's absolutely love this format. First time catching it. Thank you. Got to come prepared with
What's
some
up,
questions
Just
next time.
Covino?
You absolutely do. Absolutely. Bring in some game dev stuff because I know you work on game dev stuff. We've got Blue Sky on YouTube saying, "Hi Tom, thank you for everything."
Truly my pleasure.
Tom said, "Truly my pleasure." I'm sure you can hear him as well. Megentera saying, "Hup, yep, pretty fun format. I enjoy it." Oscar saying, "Yeah, it's cool to see how the show's prepared." This is obviously a totally different version of how the show is prepared. I feel like if you guys
Normally it's a lot of silence.
Yeah,
You and I
if-
just going through, looking for things that are popping off that are interesting that we have a unique take on. And then we'll sort of share those clips back and forth, but that's going to be terrible TV. So we're giving this a shot, and worst case, I mean, this is still an interesting way for us to spend time and talk about these subjects. So I really like the format, and I'm sure we will do more of this. But yeah, this is not our typical format, that's for sure.
And if you guys have any other topics, if you guys have any tweets, videos, clips, anything, you guys can drop them in chat. Or if you guys can't drop them in chat, send them to me on Discord or wherever. We've got Goober already taken asking, since we're on Twitch, favorite single player game last year? Do you mean like the last year, the favorite game that he played? Or the one that came out last year? I'm pretty sure that's a question directed to Tom.
The
Tom is
only
doing-
single player game that I've played in a very long time is I played Hades, which I thought was fun, but didn't hold my attention for long, and Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is pretty cool. A little too on rails for me, but I basically only play games if I'm streaming or playing with my wife. And so that sort of rules out first player games.
I love first player games. I miss them.
Just Covino saying, Tom and Tim Sweeney chat about the future of gaming and Unreal Engine when?
Yeah, that's my question. Talk to your boy Drew. How do I get some volume on this? I want to listen to this.
I got you here.
We have to win all the things. All the things. All the things. Our colleagues are depending on us to win all the things. Keep going, NEA. To preserve our democracy, we must win all the things. Delegates, we won't go back. We will keep going forward because we are the NEA. We are the NEA. We are the NEA. Depending on us to win all the things. NEA, we have to win.
They're just mad because she yells?
All the things.
Didn't see anything too damning there.
Topic. It's a little niche, but a project I follow built their own Minecraft engine and just finished a game dev jam. They built an AI that was trained on their SDK, which allowed a ton of people to build games and rules and programs with little to no coding experience and seems to have worked magically. Does Tom see that being the future of where we're headed?
Whether that particular application of it is right or not, that I can't say without looking at it. But yes, UGC is the future for sure.
Goober already taken asking, favorite multiplayer game then? Haha. Goober, because Tom is busy reading something, I could tell over there on his laptop.
What was the...
Well, your favorite multiplayer game of last year?
Oh, for sure, Fortnite.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
That
That's
has
crazy.
been so much fun for Lisa and I. We still unironically just play the life out of that game. I love it. I really, really am blown away by it.
We need you to play Overwatch too.
Overwatch will be
No,
fun.
no. Overwatch, I don't enjoy that style of play that much. That's more along the lines of like our mini games. And so if I'm going to play mini games, the nice, simple version that we have, I like a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
If I were going to like really invest, because that's more of a throwback to what I was doing in Destiny, and Destiny was a lot of fun. And when I did it, I absolutely loved it. And during that period, you probably could have gotten me into Overwatch. But in fact, I did try it. The reason I didn't like it was Destiny you can really invest in your character.
Mm-hmm.
You're building it over time. It's yours. Yours doesn't look like anybody else's. You've got all these skill tree things. You can build it out
Love
a totally
that.
different way. Whereas Overwatch was very arcadey, where it's like, I'm just going to drop in real fast with a standard character off the shelf and learn how to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, bro, that's where we were like back in the 90s. Like, that's not interesting to me. So not a big fan just like of the overall style of game. I like to invest. This is why I hope there's enough people that feel like I feel. I know what I'm trying to do with the new phase of Kaizen.
Yeah.
Now, when I look at every playtest, I'm like, clearly it's not coming through what I'm trying to say to people. Because to me, you need that tight loop of I do a thing.
Yeah.
I earn a thing.
Yeah.
And because I earned that thing, I can go do a new thing. And then I'm like constantly in that loop of like, oh, by fighting and winning stuff, the things I win really matter to me.
Yeah.
Not that I can sell them, that they matter to me and I can go use them in a continuation of the game, but definitely a different vibe. Because the way that Destiny worked, they had both PvP and PvE, but they weren't tied. PvP felt like, oh, you're just going over there to compete. There's no real connection. But if it had felt like, oh, I can gear myself up for the PvE stuff by going and doing the PvP stuff, that's fucking dope. Now I can go in and fight and compete and show these people who I am. And in doing that, I win more shit that I'm going to need to go over to the other side. Like that to me is cool. Now, again, we need to see if other people care about it like I care about it. But but first, we've got to get it into that state.
We've got, oh my gosh, quite a few messages. Echo saying not liking Overwatch is wild, but she's also asking, what made Tom switch from Quest into gaming, or why did he start getting into gaming?
So what made Tom switch from gaming to Quest? That's
Quest
the
into
actual
gaming.
question. Yeah, but I'm saying it was the other way around.
Oh, okay.
So here is the story in a nutshell. I was 12 years old and my dad brought home a camcorder and I used to go out and film with my friends back when this was the most obscure thing that you could do with your life. Nobody had access to a camera. But for some weird ass reason, my dad's company had one and they said to the employees, hey, if any of you guys want to take this home on the weekend, you can. And so since nobody went for it, my dad did. And he brought it home every weekend. And I started playing with it like crazy. And there was one video in particular that I made and I knew where to put the camera to make it look like we were dunking a basketball on a 10-foot hoop. And in reality, we were dunking on like a 5-foot hoop.
That's cool.
And then I also knew where to put the camera to make it funny. And my dad watches it and he's like, oh, I actually think you're better behind the camera than you are in front of the camera. This is one of those classic things where you're 12 and your dad says something about you that makes you feel good and it changes the course of your life. And so the only thing my dad and I had in common when I was a kid was films. And so I decided, oh, cool, I'm going to be a filmmaker then. And so literally from the time I was 12, that was it. Just, I'm going to be a filmmaker. End up going to film school. Thought I would get the 3-picture deal when I graduated. I did not, but I wrote a screenplay that got turned into a feature film starring Michael Madsen. If you've ever seen any of Quentin Tarantino's films, he's in a bunch of them, including Kill Bill and is he in Pulp Fiction? I think Pulp Fiction might be the one he's not in, but he's in most of his films. And I was mortified by how the film turned out, just absolutely devastated. And had met these two very wealthy guys, and they said, you're coming to the world with your hand out. And if you want to control the art, you've got to control the resources. So come with us, learn business, and get rich. And I thought, yeah, that sounds perfect. I will do that so that I can launch my own studio. And I thought it would take 18 months. It took 15 years, but it did work. And so in the end, I sold Quest very specifically so that I could start my studio. And all of a sudden, this is not what I was expecting it to be. Share a screen. Can't share a screen. Don't know why. It's very weird.
You're not controlling anymore?
Just when you go there, it's not the screen that I had up. So I don't know what changed it, but it's all good. I can just open a new window, right? So anyway, that is the drill. So once I could sell...
Oh, yeah, it's going to stay on top. You have to actually physically drag it.
I see. Once I had the financial success that I was looking for, then we started building out. Now, admittedly, I wouldn't have said like in the 90s that I was going to build video games. I certainly would have said film. But in the intervening years, video games just ate all of the creative stuff. So it became video games by default. But honestly, I'm far more into building a video game than I ever was into film, for sure.
We've got a question.
Yo.
For Team and Tom, does the team do any regular health rituals, pre-show, post-show, or otherwise? I.e. ice baths, meditation, etc. Do you do them together? First of all.
Together?
If I'm just...
Pretty sure that's illegal.
First of all, yeah. I'm just
Team,
going to say, hold on.
Second.
Could you imagine all of us getting in a room right now, doing an ice bath beforehand? That'd be a little crazy.
Eric is in. Eric is in for the ice bath.
Eric wants...
Let's go for ice bath. Would you ice bath?
Would I do? I've done an ice bath once.
That's when you realize.
And that's and so I'm just not.
Hard pass.
No,
I get
I'm
it.
not. I'm not doing ice baths. I used to take cold showers though for anxiety.
You took cold showers for anxiety.
Correct.
That is unexpected.
What else was I supposed to do? Cry? I did that too.
Why would crying help with anxiety? But what's the physiology?
The internet told me to do it, so I did it.
For anxiety?
Yeah.
And the internet's always.
The internet. Listen, what the internet tells
Did it
me
work?
to do, I follow. Yeah, actually, it did. It helped.
Crying helped with your anxiety.
Well, cold showers and crying. Yes.
You did them both at the same time. You
Sometimes,
cried
yeah.
in a cold shower.
Did you shower
100%.
first or did you cry first?
Sometimes they would mix and match.
The only way I could see a cold shower helping with anxiety is if it's so overwhelming to the nervous system that you just forget that you're anxious because all of a sudden you're so cold. Because from a physiological perspective, the symptoms of anxiety are the same as the symptoms of extreme cold. So I am very surprised that you found that it canceled out versus reinforce. That is very interesting.
Step out on that.
Happened here,
When
Steph.
you're
There you
having
go.
an anxiety attack, they tell you, or a panic attack, to go hold ice because the change in temperature shocks your body, and because you're in the anxiety system,
Yep.
so you need to hold ice to get yourself out of it.
That's a very nice way of saying that you should probably ask somebody to slap you, but instead we're saying hold ice.
Because it snaps your brain out of it. So a cold shower would do the same thing.
I was going to say, and also sometimes the times
You
that
have a bead on anxiety as well?
We got
Like
another
all of a
chair for you.
sudden,
How-
like,
Hey!
all of a sudden we're
I think
collecting.
we got
We're
another
on
chair
to
for
a
you.
topic
You're
that's
welcome,
interesting
everybody.
when
come on in, come on
start
in,
collecting
come on in
everybody.
here,
There is data on
closer,
this.
closer.
I was going to say, we should first of all point out that the person that just walked in is a neuroscientist studied at Stanford. So this is not just empty language. All right.
Yeah,
with
I'm not
that.
a neuroscientist, but I
Sorry.
am
Studied
well
in.
versed on the data. And Dr. Rhonda Patrick has studies on this. So she herself,
All about cold.
yeah, she herself takes cold showers before she has a presentation, and she's at the top of this field. So there's plenty of data on how the cold shock proteins help downregulate.
I just want to say thank you to my girl gang
very-
for backing me up on the
Right,
cold showers.
I'm only N of one, but as somebody who has struggled profoundly with anxiety, I did cold showers for over a year and found that it would make it worse because for me, the physiological response that I have to anxiety is exactly the same as when I'm really cold. And so if I want to trigger my anxiety,
Yeah.
all I have to do is get cold.
Right. But when you're really cold, you're not exactly having the same effect in terms of like cold shock proteins than having a shower.
True.
So you're not getting that benefit.
However, I mean, look, I haven't looked at the data, fair enough, and always be open-minded. But it is hard to take a study that you have lived and go, oh, it's true, when your experience is exactly the opposite.
The way that it was explained to me by my therapists and psychiatrists is that yes, the cold is is part of it, but you need to snap your brain out of it. So that's why the exercise is on 5 things you can hear, 3 things you can see, 2 things you can taste, because you need to focus in the moment, because anxiety is the fear of the future. So bringing yourself back into the moment. So the ice in your hands is an immediate reaction. Spotting 5 things in the room brings you right back into the moment.
Yeah, I mean, now you're getting into the sort of wives' tale-ness of anxiety treatment, which wives' tales exist for a reason. There's some benefit to them. But now you're just in the thing that I would say has been most beneficial for calming anxiety is meditation. Like if I'm really like, whoa, I don't do panic attacks, but I'm really feeling anxious, meditate, I'll be able to normalize.
Say that every time I've had a panic attack, I usually get like cold rag, ice cube, something like that, put it on my neck, literally lay down and try to be like breathing. That's it.
I'd be so curious
Just
to
the
know
cold.
if you put
Just
warm
cold.
things on your neck.
Because
if
it
was
feels
the
like if I
same.
put warm stuff on there, it feels like my body's just getting like inflamed. Like the heat does not feel good when you're having a panic attack, but the cold is like, okay, back to reality. You're feeling the coldness. And maybe that is a wives' tale, but it helps. It
Well,
helps in
maybe
the
it's
moment.
just what Stephanie
Yeah.
was saying in that it focuses your attention.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you can meditate when you're at the height of your anxiety, because if I'm at the height of my anxiety, there is no way I can sit down and try and clear my mind. There are too many things that, because anxiety, fear of the future. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. I sit,
Do you meditate a lot?
I have a very hard time with it, and so I'm working
There we
for
go.
other practices in
Got
order to
it.
be able to sit and clear the thoughts.
To me, meditation is a physiological hook into your body. I think meditation, I always hate to use this because then people think they're doing it wrong, but meditation done right, it is not physiologically possible to remain anxious. Like it's actually not possible. The only way is if you stop meditating to engage in the thinking about the future or whatever. You stand back up and you're like, I've got a pace. No. If you breathe from your diaphragm, in through your nose, out through your mouth, and you hold on the inhale, hold at the end of the exhale, breathing from your belly. Gotta be from your belly, otherwise this isn't gonna work. It isn't possible to stay in an anxious state. And so I've been in the middle of deals where there's hundreds of millions of dollars on the line. And I'm like, I'm gonna need to meditate. And the most stressful period in my life, it would take me 45 minutes to get calm again. But there was never a time where I couldn't get back to completely neutral through meditation.
Yeah. Well, there's a direct, analogous, mechanistic parallel here for cold showers too, just in terms of how
It's the other one so that way they can hear you.
it increases dopamine and norepinephrine for an extended period of time after. So what you said has a mechanistic analog for cold immersion. And obviously it has to be more than ice cubes, but
Right.
yeah, the data is there too.
But Eva, so your version of meditating is what you described, but also the thing that I described, the 5 things. So what if I'm having anxiety and I need to get into the, like if I'm in the middle of a big deal or in a meeting having anxiety, the 5 things I can see, the 4 things I can touch, the 3 things I can smell, that's also a version of meditating because it's making me focus on something else to bring my,
And if it works,
so it is, yeah. Well, we all have different terms for it, but it all accomplishes similar goals.
Yeah. Total.
crazy.
Just to bring us back, thank you, my ladies. I appreciate you. We've got a few people in the chat here. Let me shut this one off. We got a few people in the chat here saying, maybe it's a gender thing. Maybe our brains work differently. Perhaps it could be. Different hormones have different responses for sure. People are saying meditation is super underrated. Straw Hat saying, late to the party, but what's up, people?
What's up, party
You're
people?
so late. We were talking about anxiety. Dapai saying, what is your process from start to finish for meditation? And we've got saying, meditation is the same thing as being present. Big thing during the attacks is I wouldn't try stopping them. I would just sit there with them, and it helped a ton. Wow, lots of comments on our anxiety chat here. Thank you, everybody. And we've got someone saying, pain produces dynorphins. Dynorphins. This causes our brain to build new receptors for endorphins, meaning that the more pain we endure, the more pleasure we get from good experiences. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who's just tuned in. If you're just
60-minute interview.
if you are just joining us right now, we went off on a little bit of a tangent on anxiety, but Tom and Drew are picking topics for the Tom Bilyeu Show. If you have any topics, put them in the chat, send them to me. Goku's hair gel saying, yeah, I got dino endorphins, they're extinct.
Nice.
That's a good one.
All right.
We've got another question saying, talking about the future of companies like Shein, Temu, Amazon Haul. The whole gimmick is that they are super cheap. What now with the tariffs?
I actually was reading about that. There's a boilerplate kind of like exception to a rule that if the value of the goods is under a certain amount of money, that those places can import for free. And that's one of the things that like Trump wants to go under. So like the Gap had to pay like 700 million in tariffs or something like that. But like H&M only had to pay like 100 because their individual items are priced lower or something like that. So Temu, Shein, they kind of have that same model of like super low quality goods that it doesn't trigger a tariff response for some reason. Like it was like another backdoor that Chinese realtors were using to get into the import their goods for cheaper.
Smart.
Yeah.
People will find their ways.
Yeah.
All right. Can I get some volume on this, please?
And chat is on the video. Yeah. On the video, Eric.
Yeah.
Can you turn it up a little?
It is full up. Is the video have volume?
Yeah, can you scroll down maybe on X? Turn it on.
Nope, it's all the way.
Full up.
Yep. I think it would be very interesting at a minimum, because I've never seen this full interview. So there may not be enough in here to really talk about, but the comparison of what it would have been like for her to have won versus him, and the way that things feel could be an interesting conversation. If it doesn't go anywhere, we can move quickly on, but it's interesting.
I was hoping somebody would do a super cut and give us like this are the two differences. From
Yeah, that would have been.
I found one.
A supercut?
It's like a T.
Word.
It's only a minute, but it's a side by side at least. Or I can airdrop it if Slack is bad.
No, Slack's fine.
Oh, matter of fact, let me send it to Eric's.
Why?
So that way it'll pop up on the shared screen, and then you can just click it right in.
Oh,
You will
let's
see
go.
It. Yeah, you will see it. Yeah.
In the video, we also hear you, but it's fine. Just fine.
Oh, I assumed they could hear us. I assumed they would
Just in case.
want to hear us. But yeah, thank you.
We've got a few topic suggestions here in the chat for you guys to talk about.
Tell us.
We've got someone saying egg shortage. You guys talk about that. We've got someone saying likelihood Kamala runs again. We've got Candace taking over the TMZ thing with Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Are our new celebrities going to have to come in from influencers that we already know?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that Blake Lively thing. What's happening?
Well,
I watched the hour of Candace talking about it, and I still don't know what's going on. Like, it was Blake Lively's a bad person, and she's lying, and she's using her power to manipulate this director. But I'm like, I don't know what was the start of it. I don't know where the beef came from. I just know that they have beef now. He sued, she countersued. They're going tit for tat.
Interesting. We've got Chelsea Clinton says casually taking home $84 million. I don't know if this is from the USAID or not, but Elon just put notice on it. You got our super clip yet?
Yes, I slacked it to you.
I thought you said you were going to put it to Eric, and he was going to put it up on the screen.
Click the Slack, because you're controlling his screen still, right? Yeah.
Oh, I control his whole computer.
Yeah.
I see.
Boom, all the way down. Nope, that's general. Yep.
museum's to the left.
To the left? Do you have yours organized totally different than mine? Shouldn't it be right here?
I was just gonna say maybe I should put connected there.
Oh, hold on, Eric. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is.
It's not.
All right, chat. This supposedly is a supercut here, so we don't have to watch the whole video.
So yeah, it's 1 minute on the left and then 2 minutes on the right or something like that.
The events of the past few weeks have pushed us to the brink, if not even.
So wait, you can control these separately? That's interesting.
In the Middle East, what can the U.S. do at this point to stop this from spinning out of control?
Well, let's start
Can't
with
speed it up, though.
October 7. 1,200 people were massacred. 250 hostages were taken, including Americans. Women were brutally raped. And as I said then, I maintain Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. This war has to end.
Into an all-out regional war in the Middle East. What can the U.S. do at this point to stop this from spinning out of control?
Well, let's start with October 7, because obviously what we do now must be in the context of what has happened. And as I reflect on a year ago, and that 1,200 people were massacred, young people at a festival, at a music festival. 250 hostages were taken, including Americans. Women were brutally raped. And as I said then, I maintain Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. And as we fast forward into what we have seen in the ensuing weeks and months, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. And we know that, and I think most agree, this war has to end. And that has to be our number one imperative. And that has been our number one imperative. How can we get this war to end? Well, critical elements of that are we have got to get a hostage deal and a ceasefire deal done. We have to get aid in. We have to lay the path toward a two-state solution. I do believe that we must maintain that as an objective, no matter how out of reach it seems at the moment. And the work that we have to do is also pay attention to what is happening every day in the region and put U.S. resources into everything we can do diplomatically and otherwise to de-escalate what is happening in the region.
The events of the past few weeks have...
Hey, yeah, they made it tighter. I don't see.
Yeah, that one's not weird to me.
Eunice, are you a Blackpink person?
No, I'm not.
That like X is going crazy because they announced their tour, and I'm like,
Yeah, they are.
they're a big deal, though, right?
They are a big deal. They are a big deal. They're a very big deal here in the Western side of things for
Gotcha.
K-pop. You know, yes, we do love Twice. That's right. And everybody's saying thank you, Eric, for the sound. Eric is the GOAT. Thank you, Eric. You're the best. Thank you, Eric.
There it is. There you go. Wave to the camera. Hop in. Get your flower. No, I'm kidding.
For real. We've got a few topics if you guys want to pull any of these from chat. Matt Taibbi, how do you say that guy?
Taibbi?
Taibbi. Matt Taibbi said there is so much stuff being unearthed with Doge. They need an army to investigate journalists to handle it. A new media explosion coming? Goku's Hairdoll said, can you guys talk about Trump's executive order on transgender athletes? IDK if that's touchy. We've got
Just sign that.
anti-aging, bring back David Sinclair, get both David and Brian on at the same time.
Oh, Sinclair and Brian Johnson?
Correct.
That would be interesting, but only mildly, and it's not really on topic for what we cover now. But if the community was hungry enough for it, I would do it as a check-in if we can get it from a tech angle, like future tech of longevity or something like that. You just said something though a second ago. Trump signed an executive order about trans athletes. Yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah, the Title IX.
What do we have? Is there footage of him doing the signing and talking about it? Because I would love that for context.
Let me get the footage.
Get that footage. William, are those? Because at one point I asked you nice to get me computer speakers. Are those yours or the ones that came for?
This is George, but he doesn't use it, so you guys can use it.
But Eunice, did we end up shutting that down?
Yes, sir.
So
That was on the list.
press killed it.
I'm not naming names.
Name names. That's all we do around here, Eunice.
Nope, I'm not naming names.
Got to. You got to.
I'm not a name dropper, okay?
Don't be a name dropper. Nobody likes a name dropper.
That's
but
name dropping.
naming names is a whole different set of things.
Just Covino saying, is the gaming industry still too small for politics to start using them for swaying political opinions, or do you think they have arted?
I mean, look, the part of the whole Gamergate was how much they were trying to put a political message into the games. So for sure, people are going to bring their politics to work if you're telling a story. You quite literally can't. So as a writer, if I'm advising you, I'm going to say, okay, I want you to do one thing. I want you to write the theme of your story down. I want you to put it on a sticky note and place it on your computer so that every line that you write revolves around your theme as either an answer or a question. And that is how you structure a film, is with theme. So your theme is going to reveal your value system, everything. Like I'm wearing my values on my sleeve when I'm writing Mary Mods. So it's just that we're so used to family movies covering themes in a way that is universal. So it's like, these are the kinds of themes that have, been being talked about since we were talking about Zeus or Beowulf, like these are the things that have really lasted the test of time. And it's only recently that we've really started to get into like some very controversial niche things that people are passing off as if it is a universal good, universally accepted value system. And that's where parents are having a stroke. So you need to, in that way, try to be persuasive from a values perspective. But beware of representing values that don't feel true to some people and or cause characters to act in ways that sound preachy. Because Star Wars is so mired in value system that it changed the course of my life. But most people just think of it as a dope movie with, space samurai. So it's gotta be entertaining first. And that's really where Disney has stumbled recently, is they're preaching. You got to be super careful with that.
True.
In fact, I'm going to draw a line. This is exactly what happens. If you're doing the right thing, you're writing the theme in two ways. Way number one, literally, when I write a story, I start with, here is theme as question, here is theme as answer. Even when I was working with Chat to do the outline for Mary Mods, I said, Chat, I believe that a theme should be handled in the following way. It should, through the whole movie, it should be being explored as a question. And the question of Mary Mods is, can people change for the better? Okay, at the beginning of the film, it should not be obvious what our answer is going to be. And so different characters are going to represent different sides of that argument. So Krampus represents the side of the argument that no, people are who they are, and the naughty ones are always going to be a little bit naughty, and there's no switching over to the nice list. And so if anything, I could push people to be more naughty, but you're never going to be able to change for the better. Just that's not a real thing. And Santa's going to be the exact opposite. Everybody can change, and it doesn't matter. And no matter how naughty you are, the naughtiest person can come over. And so we literally have the person at the top of the naughty list is one of the characters in the story. And so is that person going to be able to make that change? And then Snowbow, the main character, is exploring it. Okay, maybe we can change, but is it possible? Is it too hard? And so now all of these questions are being, debated. Some characters saying you can, some saying you can't. And then in the final analysis, we give theme as answer. So this is what the makers of this story believe, that either yes or no. And the bad way to do that is tell theme as answer through the whole story. So it's like, this character good, because they adhere to the theme in this way. This character bad because they don't adhere to this theme. And so in the beginning, Krampus, who's technically our villain, sounds right. So you're like, oh, maybe you can't change. And then characters like Santa, you realize are flawed. And it's like, Santa, I don't know if I buy that everybody's going to be good one day. And so you get this sense of like, I actually don't know how you're going to pull this all together. But when we say that a movie sounds preachy, it's because they're saying, this is the answer, this is it. Everybody acknowledges it in the same way. And that doesn't feel good.
All right. We've got another appearance here by Miss Stephanie.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Stephanie.
I may or may not regret asking this question, but I am very interested in your answer.
I think you should go into episode 2 before you even ask it. I think you should go into episode because I've seen this comment a lot.
Oh, yeah. You've been very vocal about one of the reasons you did not like Biden or Kamala was because you felt like it was a shadow government, that they were saying one thing and a lot was going on behind the scenes that they weren't talking about, and someone else was pulling the strings.
Yes.
With the current president and Elon there, is that not the same situation? Elon pretty much has full reign to do whatever he wants. Trump is not micromanaging him or managing him. He's bringing in his own team of engineers that no one's ever seen, haven't been vetted. How is that different than what you hated against Biden and Kamala?
Yeah, for me, it's interesting. I get that a lot of people are going to ask that question, but it's one that makes me go, wait, what? The whole point is whether you're hiding it or you're being transparent. And so what Elon is doing that is freaking people the fuck out is he's actually bringing transparency to the government. Now, do I care who brings transparency to the government? I do not. So whoever is going to go, hey, we're going to go through this thing and we're going to find all the things that make this problematic and just show you guys what's really going on. No, there is nobody in government that could do that would make me skeptical. So I'm all for that.
Do you think that there are limits on what he should be able to do, such as before they gave them the read-only access, his engineers had full unfettered access to the financial system that pays out every employee and Social Security information? So are there limits to that, or do you think with full transparency he needs to come in like a bull in a china shop?
I'm not weird about it in the way that other people are. So I will say devoid of emotion, like, yeah, you should probably limit it. And there should probably be a little more oversight than we're seeing. But I'd much rather see people on the other side of this coin, because what I voted for was a radically different approach to government. Now, however, I'm a big fan of checks and balances. And I love that you get a lot of gridlock in Washington. So the red fucking flag for me, and every time Trump makes a joke about it, it is like I'm chewing on glass. When he's like, I don't know if I can run for a third term. Can I run for a third term? It's like, stop with that shit. Pump the fucking brakes. You absolutely cannot run for a third term. You need to calm the fuck down. Don't ever bring that up again. Like, that's the one where I'm like, even now I can feel myself getting animated. I'm like, hey. Like, people get their 2 terms, bro. There's a reason in 1951, after we had a 4-time elected president, people were like, yeah, we can't let this one be just like the thing that people know only run for 2 terms. We're actually going to lock this shit down. So it was locked down constitutionally in 1951. Stop fucking with it. Like, you can be in twice. And after that, like, because there's just this real perpetual motion, and this is how a company stagnates. So again, to beat this book to death, in the book, The Machiavellians, one of the things they talk about is a nation will stagnate if they don't have a way for their elites to recycle. So you need new people coming in. It can't be like the same old, same old. And this is a big part of the problem with our gerontocracy, is these guys, probably partly because of a lack of term limits in Congress and because of all the money in politics, and it's just become the same people, and the same people get elected, and it just grinds everything to a halt. So that one is like red flags on the field. That one freaks me the fuck out. I'm like, hey, absolutely hard stop.
This is now just coming on your radar? Because honestly, my honest gut response to that is, duh. Like, you're just catching up to this. We knew this before, and this is one of the red flags. He doesn't care if it's in the Constitution. He's going to push back against everything, see what throw in spaghetti, see what works.
Yeah.
And so this was one of the red flags
But
against
do
him.
you have beef with him trying everything and the system needing to keep him in check?
No,
That I don't.
I like that system of like, we need to push back on, what, throw everything, push against the walls, what gives and what doesn't. And then you learn from that. So I think that there's merit there, but I think that you seeing this as a red flag now it's the people who are Googling, can I change my vote afterwards? Those things, that is my gut reaction to it. Like we saw
that
this.
is a strange way to look at the world. So here, and I know that this is what is coming for people. Tom Bilyeu did not cast a vote and say, I'm now on your team. Tom Bilyeu cast a vote and said, of the choices that I have, you're the person who I think is most likely to do a good job. But dear Mr. President, you're now running the physics of progress. And if you ignore results that you get, if you're running the wrong experiments, I'm going to say, this is all fucking stupid. What are you doing? And when I say that, I will be a servant to first principles. I'm not like, the fact that I voted for him does not mean that I'm cheering for him. I'm cheering for the American people. I'm cheering for whoever is going to make the real measurable changes that we all want. So that is the right way. People have got to avoid tribal thinking. And what ends up happening is people think, oh, I voted for him, now I got to cheer for him. Fuck that. Like, I voted for him because I thought of the two candidates that he would do the better job. I'll never get to run the counterfactual, so I'm never going to go, oh, maybe I should have voted for Kamala Harris. I'm going to go the specifics of what I see breaking down in front of me. And the thing that I see, that there are two things that I see that make me go, huh, that's interesting. One is he makes jokes about running for a third term, which he would do in a heartbeat if people would let him. And so I'm very eager to make sure that people don't let him. And since I think all of us have a voice and we need to say the things that we're like, no, this is a hard stop. That's a hard stop for me. But like if my wife, she does do things that drive me crazy. So for instance, my wife hides things, and that really, no matter what I say, people are going to think I'm kidding. It really bothers me. Now, I'm not going to divorce my wife or turn against my wife because she does a thing I don't like, but I am going to put boundaries, and I'm going to say, hey, you can hide your things, but don't hide mine. You can put mine in a box or whatever you want. But like that one is a thing. So if I look at that and go, yeah, no third term, that always bothers me every time he brings it up. It's not me saying, oh my God, like red flag, I never would have guessed. That's me saying, nope, that's the one that like I will be speaking up about with whatever platform I have to say, boys and girls, it's a mistake, and it's a mistake for the following reasons. Read James Burnham. He goes through this whole thing. You will stagnate your country. This is not what you want to do. But it doesn't bother me that my wife has a different agenda of something she's trying to do. What would bother me, and this is the thing that really freaked me out about where the Democrats were going, is that they wanted me to shut up. And that is, quite frankly, the thing I would use my Second Amendment right for. Like, that's where I'm at with that. So if any government ever tells me, sit down and shut up, we now have beef. Like, that's existential for me.
I like that. I think that this topic of separating how, you don't have to be, just because you voted for someone, approve everything that they do. And I think that that's going to be something really important for people to lean into over the next 4 years, of being able to dissect the good and the bad, and where there are benefits and where there are, opportunities of progress.
Yeah. Here's the bad news. What's going to happen is everybody is going to lead with their emotions, and people are going to clown on me for saying over and over and over, you shouldn't trust your emotions. And I'm going to look like a maniac when I tell people, if you're asking people to validate your emotions, you have already lost. I get it. People are really going to have a problem with that. But this is one of those, imagine, have you ever seen that video of the little kid? They're literally about to drown. They are in the water. They are about to drown. They are freaking the fuck out. And it was one of those where they took their water wings off. And so they're legitimately in trouble. and it's the video is distressing in ways I can't express. You just see the terror on the kid's eyes. And then the mom steps in the pool and pushes his ass down, and his feet touch the bottom of the pool, and it's only waist deep. And he stands up. That's how I feel when people are like, validate my feelings. I'm like, what the fuck are you actually asking for? You are creating this problem, as we all do. I create the same problems in my own life. But when I feel myself freaking out and screaming and splashing, I'm like, just stand up. And that to me is what we're going to go through, where people don't want to hear it. They want to be tribal. This is my guy. No matter what, I'm for him. And the other side is going to be like, this isn't my guy. And no matter what, I'm against him. And this is growing worse and worse by the day. And I'm old enough to know how different it used to feel. Like, it used to be, they were on the other side of the aisle when you were in the rotunda, but then you would go out and have a beer and hang out, and it was far more conciliatory. And now everything is just partisan. It just breaks on party lines. So yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be what it's going to be. And every time I say that Trump is doing something dumb, people are going to throw at me, this is why you shouldn't have voted for him, asshole, and blah, blah, blah. It'll be a little exhausting, but it's just, anything predictable should not be traumatizing. And that is the most predictable thing in the fucking universe, that is how people are going to deal with this moment. It will be all tribes all the time.
It sounds like we all need some ice baths in our future for the anxiety.
Yeah.
Will we do like a IIT? You ice bath.
I did cold showers.
Okay.
For 13 months. I hated it so much, I began to resent my shower. Every time I would walk past my shower, I would actually have a rush of anger. I'm actually not kidding. And I was like, I am training myself in some weird Pavlovian way.
to really hate showers.
Because I had promised myself that I would do a month of it. And so I promised a month, and I did 13 months. I was like, okay, enough is enough. I fucking hate this thing now. It's truly just miserable. I'm sure there were things that it was doing to my longevity. I'm sure. But god damn, that was not a fun way to get to longevity. I would much rather improve my VO2 max. I'm not doing that either, keep in mind. But I really am banking that if you just eat well all the time, that you're going to be fine. So fingers crossed. We'll see how far it takes me.
All right, jumping back to the doc. I feel like we kind of have a skeleton, and we have some questions at the bottom, and I think question and answer segments.
All right, let's see.
will be helpful. But I added the Trump thing here. So and then Eric connected.
Which Trump thing?
It's World Affairs Trump Road 9.
All right, let's take a look. See,
banning transgender from participating in women's sports.
Okay, give me 1 second. Well, my dearest community, I am utterly fascinated. You guys are, I won't say we're staying in record numbers, but we certainly are holding a good number in the stream, which, man, I would have thought that over the last 30 minutes, you guys have been like, I am the fuck out of here.
You're welcome.
Is it you? You're holding
right.
them all together?
I knew it would be.
You're just saying the content actually is, they want this.
Yeah.
I feel like if we're not saying, acknowledging them in real time,
I
they're
think
going to be
you're
like, fuck this.
too much of a pessimist, and I am acknowledging them.
That's interesting. So
also, we just got some people saying, I like this format. I like this format.
Okay.
It's the bunny overalls.
What's
Don't try
the
to skip
last
over
one?
that
It's
comment. It's the bunny overalls. That's
It
what's
is
holding
the
our
bunny
number.
overalls. I'm telling you.
Bunny overalls up in our numbers.
But I need the people that are saying I'm being too pessimistic. Give me a
No, I'm saying you're being too pessimistic.
You.
About the format.
stream. Oh. Interesting. You think it's pessimism. Okay.
Yeah.
It does not read as pessimism in my soul. It reads as physics of progress. I needed to predict an outcome. I did not get the outcome that I predicted. Therefore, my model of the world is incorrect. That's what's
Your
actually
model
going
is
through my head.
incorrect.
Okay, anyway, let's watch our Trump thing. But shout out, community. Thank you guys for being here. It'd be amazing if you guys actually enjoy this format.
Taxpayer dollars on notice that if you let men take over women's sports teams or invade your locker rooms, you will be investigated for violations of Title IX.
He's doing all his. He didn't put it up.
So this will effectively end the attack on female athletes at public K-12 schools and virtually all U.S. colleges and universities. I don't think we've missed anything, but if we do, we'll make it up very quickly with my action this afternoon, putting every school receiving taxpayer dollars.
It's the most interesting thing about this clip is 2 years ago, this would have felt radioactive. And I'd have been like, oh God, I guess we have to talk about it, but I don't want to talk about it. yeah, now I'm perfectly happy to talk about it. This seems so obvious that no matter what, even if you think trans people are mentally ill, treat them with grace and respect. Don't let boys compete with girls. They will take every record from them ever, and it creates perverse incentives. And the really, really fascinating thing here for me is men are the evolutionary answer to what women want. And so women have created men that have much stronger upper bodies, that are far more aggressive, that are far more risk-taking.
As you're saying that, are you saying that all the men that were weaker upper bodies they just died off?
Yeah, they didn't get mates.
Copy.
Women were like, fuck that noise. You can't chuck a spear.
Yeah.
For real. And so it's like, I want the guy that can hunt. And so it's not like they looked at their arms and were like, I want
No,
this a
but
little
I
bit
just
bigger.
wanted to be clear, like
But,
the evolutionary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so it's like, well, you went and created men over obviously evolutionary timescales. I don't think women did it on purpose, nothing like that. But it's like women are the sexual gatekeepers. So you create this thing that has tremendous differential in upper body strength. And remember, boys and girls, we're not talking about averages. We're talking about the people that end up on elite teams. They're going to be the best of the best. And you can give them all the sex hormones you want. If you gave The Rock the most estrogen a human being has ever ingested, he's still The Rock. He's got certain bone structure, bone density, tendons, ligaments, fast twitch fibers, ability to recruit his muscles, God knows how many decades of just training to be able to contract hard. So it's silly. So you will just watch the slow erosion of women actually being able to do well. So what people have to remember is the reason that this stuff is separated. By the way, this is really something we do. This gives me a chance to dry run my ideas and define the edges of my own thinking.
It works out.
The thing that people need to remember is we created women's sports because they could not compete with men. They just lost, always and forever. And so women were like, well, kind of like in a video game, I accept that there are people that are way better than me. But if you give me people that are around my ELO score, now I can have fun again. Because there are maybe some a little bit better than me, some a little bit worse, but like I'm in there, I'm winning some meaningful percentage of my
you have an
games.
opportunity to
Yeah.
win.
And whether you look at that and go, well, but I'll never be the greatest in the world. I'll never be as good as the worst professional male player. It's like, sure, but that actually isn't how people respond to it. They go, I've got my pool of people that share a thing in common with me, in this case, my sex. And now, cool, I'll call it an even playing field. It's obviously not. Like when you meet somebody like, bro, I used to play basketball. LeBron James just has some attributes over me that I'm never going to have. Height. He was fucking thick at like 14. What the fuck? So it just is what it is. But I look at that and I am not mad. I'm just like, cool. He's got a set of skills. I'm going to want to go do something different. So when you go, oh, we're going to add, we're literally going to take a subset of those people that you couldn't beat before, and we're going to let them come in and play. And by the way, look, I love that there are people that are naive enough that they think people will not flock to an area where there's an incentive. And the incentive is, if I'm going to place 142nd in my division as a guy, but I'm going to dominate as a woman, I'm going to play as a woman. I want to dominate. I want to get a scholarship. I want to just win. I just want to be the best. So yeah, that for sure. Just keep them out of sports. Don't be a dick. No need to judge their lifestyle. If they're an adult, let them do what they want to do. I've just met too many beautiful, wonderful people in my life that they see things differently. They're wired a little bit different than me, but are still humans that deserve dignity and love. And even if I think that the way they live their life is not going to lead to as much fulfillment for them as another lifestyle might be, who the fuck am I? Like, it's very possible I'm wrong. So it's like, meh, but keep them out of sports. Create a trans league. Go for it. Like, do your thing.
Yeah, I think it all kind of layered up with the K through 12 adoption of trans ideologies that really made this a thing before it became a thing. Because like at the athletic level, there's not a WNBA player arguing that they should be in the NBA. Like when you get to the top of the top, it's kind of understood.
Yeah.
And I think the pipeline might have been a little bit clouded and people got higher than they should have, not realizing like there are limitations.
Yeah, there's something really interesting to this because I'm married to a girl power woman. And I get the energy of like, girls could do anything, like, let's go. I don't want to be limited by a limiting belief. I don't ever want to think of myself as like a man, but just weaker. Like I'm this other thing and we're awesome. I love that. But some of that hype was meeting reality and people were asking for reality to not be acknowledged. And if you acknowledge reality, you were seen as a bad person instead of just being like, look, I get the energy. I get why you want to say that. But the reality is, like with the Serena Williams comment, she's the greatest female player of all time. Why not just the greatest tennis player of all time? Because she'll get her ass handed to her by like 167 men. So, and they were like, yeah, in the rankings, she was literally something like that, 134th, 167th, whatever it was. And she was asked about the best male player. And she was like, oh, I would lose every game, every match, like guaranteed. I'm not even sure I could score a point on him. Like she was super like, yeah, it just is what it is. But people needed people to say that women can do anything a man can do better. And I think that's the wrong play. The nice thing is that strange worldview seems to have burned out a lot faster than I would have expected.
Yeah. Interesting. It's one of those, the swinging of the tides. It was cool a couple years ago and now it's controversial. Something else is going to be controversial and then it's going to get cool again. History repeats itself.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see if that one becomes a thing again in the same form. Probably not, but we'll see. We will see. All right. That's a good one. What else do we have here?
Yeah, look through that rundown if you can, because we're pushing up on intro time.
Okay.
We've got a topic asking about, what about Mitch McConnell falling over? Time to retire? Question mark.
It's been time to retire.
Time to take him out into the pasture.
So not even retire. Sheesh. It's time for you to go meet Jesus. It's time to wrap it up.
We've got Jordash saying, on that note, Trump is going very, quote, make this machine work first for me, end quote. It's an internal to the nation fix. We've got Yeti Bandit saying, does government advance on death at a time? Does government advance one death at a time like science?
Yes.
And someone saying 2020 to 2025, what a weird blip in history for sure.
Yeah. Enjoy that 26.01% inflation, by the way, from those exact years.
Also, just so we can go back to you talking about video games real quick.
I love it.
Can you say, remember when you said something about matchmaking?
Yes.
What's that word that you said when they were matchmaking?
You're talking about ELO?
You said ELO.
No, I said ELO, but I could tell by the way you were asking that you wanted it said the other way.
Not just me.
All of chat.
So, yes.
What's wrong with this kid?
You doing it for
Yeah.
Not just me. Someone said hashtag Tom was wrong.
Get used to that. You just want that one like on your clipboard. Copy paste.
This is just your highlight reel, huh?
Copy paste.
Yeah. And someone's asking, should I buy a house this year? Exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point.
You can afford
frantically asking.
Well, so it depends on why you're buying it. If you're buying it because you're about to have kids and you really want somewhere to settle and you think you're going to be there forever, and you understand that buying a house is really just about keeping up with inflation, it's not something, it is an asset that you have to pay a bunch of money to keep up with inflation. So you're going to have to pay property tax, you're going to have to do upkeep, all that. But you will then, your money, if you do all those things, will keep up with inflation. So if it's like your forever home, then it's probably a reasonable thing to do. If you're so good at picking that you pick an area that's about to get developed, and so you think in 20 years, housing prices there will have wildly outstripped inflation, then that's really a good investment. But it all comes down to whether you're buying a house that you can afford to upkeep, that you would love, like even if at the end of all this, you didn't get any money back out of it. Let's say that the right as you were about to pass that wealth on to your kids, it burned down. If you'd still be like, well, but we still lived in it. That was amazing. I'm very sad that we weren't able to pass it down, but like it was our home. It was amazing. So many memories. Then you can't lose. But houses do go up and down in value. So, and they take a lot of upkeep.
They've added
so
a
you gotta be
caveat
really
here.
thoughtful.
They said, what if I own a house, want to sell it and upgrade? And now they just said, okay, I'll buy the house.
Yeah. So, well, if you want to sell it and upgrade that, you really have to add value to the house. So one thing, like if you're good with your hands or you have a really good sense of style, or you're good at picking neighborhoods that are about to be on the come up, you can buy the house, do the renovations yourself. That you can do and make a lot of money because you take a house and you upgrade it, or you buy a house somewhere that's about to be gentrified. And so now it's like, oh, damn, we got in, we made it more beautiful, and the neighborhood around us grew up over a 5 or 7 year period. And then you flip it, you can make some real money, but you can also lose your ass. Like you have to understand that market forward and backwards. This is not something to just do on a whim. This is most likely going to be the largest purchase you will ever make. So the only quote unquote sound way to do it is if it's going to be the house that you live in. But if you do have a unique skill set that allows you to make the house more beautiful, and you're going to beautify the house and then sell it and you can make a profit. I met a guy that does that for high-end real estate, but he's gambling. Like he once gambled, I think 30 million against 200 million. So he had to put at risk that with $30 million, I can make this house like unreasonably cool. And then he walked me around the house and I was like, bro, this house is unreasonably cool. It was incredible. It's the most stunning house I've ever seen in my life. Like for real. He walked us through the staff quarters, and the staff quarters, because a house can always be broken down by what did it cost per square foot to build. The staff quarters, and at the time I was living in a Beverly Hills mansion, okay? Not as nice as this one, but still like proper fancy. His staff quarters in that house were, he spent more per square foot than I spent on like my house. So I was like, the staff in this house have a nicer house than my Beverly Hills mansion. That's the kind of nice it was, because this guy just has fucking style. Like he used to be in fashion. And so, oh God, unbelievable. Also, just to name drop, Michael Strahan he's really good friends with this guy. That's how I got in to see the house.
Heard.
Fucking Strahan is the GOAT, dude. That guy is the coolest human ever. But yeah, that guy, now he's able to flip a house.
Okay. Off topic. Do you ever watch those Architectural Digest tours?
I used to watch them obsessively because when Lisa and I were looking for homes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I love that shit. To me, a house is a piece of art you can live in. Plus, I love transformations. So seeing them go from like broken down to dope. Plus, we used to have a lot fewer channels, kids. So back in the day, there was no TikTok. So
you have all these options.
We had to watch DIY shows.
Someone in the chat said, make an NFL game, make a sports game.
How dare you? How dare you even read that out loud, Eunice? That's never going to happen.
I'm saying what the people want, all right?
Nope. You're barking up the wrong tree. I won't be making a sports game. Certainly not NFL, which is a game I don't watch, but that strikes me as very uninteresting. I'm not here for that. I'm glad you like it. Yay. But I like that for you, but I don't like it for me. All right.
Intro?
Intro. If you can convince me that we're actually there. Let's see.
I'm gonna end up driving again, I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to test these speakers.
Oh. Can you click in the shared screen, the screen share window, and just play a video so Eric could test those speakers?
We can do it after when you're already in.
Yeah.
LeBlanc, that is definitely the dream.
The custom housing and custom lobbies.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking
custom lobbies. I'm not super worried about that, but people being able to create custom items like a home or whatever,
like Sims, Minecraft type stuff.
More like Minecraft, yeah, but with less limitations.
Copy.
All right, so you think this is an episode, huh?
I do.
Oh, shit. I have a hard stop at 4. What are we going to do about that?
Really?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
We have to shoot it live. What if we
We're doing it live, baby.
And just kind of jumped into it?
We would have to.
I feel like you're prepped because I asked you everything and you gave good answers. So
all right. Well, then let me pee and then we'll get started and we'll sort of shoot it out of order and we can get a intro on it at the end.
Copy.
Probably. Yeah, because otherwise we're going to have the world's shortest episode. All right. Ready?
Ready. Yeah, we'll get G and then I'll screen share.
Can you put it?
All right, chat. I hope you guys liked it and enjoyed it. We're about to get focused and locked in for a second.
Hi, everybody. It's me again. I'm going to take over while they get ready for their actual shoot. So while they're doing their shoot, we're going to be quiet on our end. You're going to get a real sneak peek as to how they actually shoot it. You're going to see how their banter goes. There might be some cuts, some pauses, whatever. So I'm not really going to be able to talk to you guys as much. I'll be able to chat a little bit, but not too much because I can't, click, clack, as loud as I can. Let me read you guys while we can, our last minutes together until the end of the stream. Dylan, hello. It's the Eunice show now. That's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Let's meditate and bring out the ice. Oh my gosh, like Amanda, the Amanda show, bring out the dancing lobsters. Voting for bring the ice bath. Click your heels and head on out, baby. Oh, you guys are so nice. Thank you guys. You guys are all really nice. Does this mean Eunice is the dancing lobster? If I had a lobster overalls, yes, I would. If we can get, I don't know why I'm whispering. If we could get lobster overalls,
oh, yeah,
yes.
we can find that out now.
Hashtag Tom on Ice. That would be a show. Could you imagine? It'd be like Disney on Ice, but Tom. Impact Theory on Ice. Make it happen. No, you nice.
You guys still alive?
Thank you. Yes, we are. That's me right now. Talking.
Hop in.
Hey everybody, this is.
Well, I'm not even in.
No, you're not even in it. Hey everybody, this is my pal, Herson. Some of us like to call him G.
G.
Tell the people hello.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing? I'm an editor, so yeah, I'm just here to live cut the episode. Yes, sir. Who's that? Judy, what is it? Guida Bita. Like you, bro. Or girl, whoever it is. I appreciate you. What's up, y'all?
All the episodes that you see on the Tom Bilyeu channel are cut and edited by yours truly. So if you like the editing, make sure you say, G, you're a G. The OG.
I'm a G. You're OG.
Only
G's on this set.
Someone said, hi.
Hi, what?
Hi, Top G. Not a Tate reference? What does that mean? Oh, G. What got you into editing?
I'm a filmmaker, man. I'm a director, cinematographer, so I do a lot of independent work on the side, and then editing just, became one of my fortes that I decided to pursue at the higher level.
Yo, Loki.
Yo, Loki.
You want to plug yourself real quick?
Plug myself?
You want to plug it?
What do you mean?
I have to be on a call.
This man's a filmmaker, so do you want to plug yourself?
Give me like 3 minutes.
Yeah, you can follow me at _ Leva, GERSON LEIVA.
On IG. This man is also a stellar photographer.
After the fact.
The photos from your Barcelona trip,
Can you play it?
my
I'm
God,
playing it right now. Can you hear
guys.
it?
Nah, this
I appreciate it.
doesn't work then.
I
Okay.
appreciate it. I try, you know.
What movie you make?
I worked on a documentary in Malaysia.
Put signs up and everything.
I don't know how deep I can get into it. I think we're ready to film soon, but
We're about getting ready. Curator Doc, hello. Welcome to the chat. We're just hanging out, waiting for them to get ready to film the. I keep looking at the chat instead of the camera. Film the show. Oh, someone said, "Oh shit, he's cultured."
yes, sir. Super cultured. My parents are Salvadorian, born in Jersey, and we're
Jersey.
living the lead. Yeah, now we're living the dream in LA.
What's your favorite movie?
City of God. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Yo, G, mix the pink and the red starbursts. It'll change your life.
Oh damn! I only got the pink one, but I'll keep that in mind.
Thank you for joining us,
Gotcha.
Hurston. We appreciate it.
Yeah. W chat.
W's in the chat. Let me put this back. Yes. Chat. Oh, that's crazy zoom in. I think we're about getting ready
Eric,
to
do
shoot.
any of the shoots
And
show all this
I
stuff?
hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you guys have any feedback for the live stream or anything else you want to see in the future, or if you want to keep seeing stuff like this in the future, let us know. Let me know. Because we want to know. And I'm going to let them shoot now.
We're going right into it. No intro.
No intro?
No intro.
We're not doing that.
We're going to, but after, because I have a hard stop at 4 to do a call, and then I'll come back. And we may also, like, don't try to truncate me. If we don't get to the fun stuff at the end, I can go do this call, come back, fun stuff, and then intro, and then we're good.
Copy.
You're off now, right? You're done, right?
Until we shut down the stream. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll have to turn this
Until we shut down the stream, what do you mean? Is chat going to be with us while we're doing the episode?
I'm just going to be quiet and save subs, follows, anything till the end.
Love it. And I assume they just heard you say that, so
Nope, she's out.
I don't want them to feel ignored.
Okay, so yeah, you feel good now, G? Everything's good? Think we're all right?
I'm good. I'm ready.
That guy's gonna be rolling on set. Episode. Okay. So let me just pan over for Tom. G. Okay, G. You good? All right. Cool. We are rolling and set. Whenever you guys are ready, go ahead and jump on the laptop. Make sure.
Woo! Big energy.
Big energy. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's do it. You know what it is.
Rolling.
Ready?
Ready.
On my mark.
On your
Here we
mark.
go. I will have said some things as an intro. Drew, another insane day in the books.
Still going.
Let's talk about it.
This U.S. aid thing is not going away, man. We
It
have
is
seen some
not
bodies.
going away.
Yeah, so Chelsea Clinton has gotten exposed. I'm going to wait for the receipts to get verified before we share that.
It's got a lot of commas and zeros, though.
Yes, but what we definitely could see is that Politico and the $8 million that it received from U.S. aid has been in the spotlight now. I've been hearing rumors that they have closed their doors. They stopped paying people. It seems like U.S. aid was funding Politico.
Yeah.
Like, I thought we were doing foreign aid. Now we're doing, like, magazines. What is this? What's your temperature on this?
Yeah, so I think as things roll out, what we're going to find is that they were doing a lot of propaganda. And so that propaganda could be in another country. That propaganda could be here. And I think as we increase the level of transparency, we're going to realize more and more that Snowden was onto something, that all the things that we're supposedly doing to foreign governments, we are also doing to our own people. And I hope that makes people deeply unhappy because these are your tax dollars being put to use against you. And there was a tweet that Elon put out that I thought was really interesting. I don't expect that it will be well received, but that the same people that are freaked out by what we're doing auditing USAID and other entities were excited that they were going to add 87,000 new IRS agents to audit you. And so it was like, wait, what is the logic of being absolutely okay with us being audited and not being okay auditing the people that are spending our money? Like, I legitimately don't understand the energy. I'm okay with people being like, hey, we want the extra agents to really make sure that everybody's above board, that everybody's paying their taxes as they're supposed to. There's been so much outcry about the rich aren't paying their fair share. Cool, let's get the agents. Let's see how it goes. But then to be weird about the fact that we're auditing the government, like I can steel man it, but I can't internalize the logic set that would make me go, oh, it's bad to audit these people. So again, going back to something people are going to hear me say over and over and over, this is an emotional reaction to which they put words, but the words don't actually line up with why they're having the emotional reaction. The reaction that I think we're seeing right now and the freak out over USAID is twofold. One, USAID is essentially a front for the CIA. And so they're doing covert things. So they're saying that this is something to help with the water, but in reality, it's us wanting to control the water supply in that region to make sure that we've got our thumb on it, or that they feel like they owe us a favor or whatever. And we may even, people are not going to like this answer, but we may even want the government doing some number of things like that to keep us in a strong position, such that we are well placed around the world. The right people owe us favors. We have control of the right things, so that if things were to pop off, we would be able to make problems go away without anybody ever even realizing that we put, back channel pressure on people. Such is the game of global politics, which is a game of strength, period, end of story. Okay, so there's that angle of it is a way in which we have done covert operations under the guise of humanitarian aid. And people that know that that's what's going on are like, hey, wait. It's not really about dancing squirrels in Nicaragua. It's like, this whole covert thing, but we can't come out and say it. Then I think there is also just, I hate Elon Musk and Donald Trump more than I can possibly tell you. And this is my opportunity to tell the world that these two are oligarchs. They are going to ruin our country. This is everything that we warned you about. See, Republicans, you were wrong. All you fools that voted for these guys, they told you who they were. They want to rule this country with an iron fist. They do not care about you. This is all about them going in and stealing funds. Their words, not mine. Getting access to your data, their words, not mine. And that, I think, is what's really playing out. This is a political, theatrical play that we are watching, and they know that they can rouse people's emotions. What I hope people turn over or turn the page on and really start looking at is the government spending money the way that you want? Are you comfortable with the level of covert actions your government is taking? Are you comfortable with the things that they are spending money on? Or when you hear those things just read off, do you go, wow, okay, wait a second. We've got a lot of people here in America that are struggling. They're not able to make ends meet. We've got an education system that is broken and not working, and people screaming about you need to pay teachers more. And it's like, well, guess what we could do if we weren't spending all this money in those other places. And so if people can step outside of the stream of their emotion, which I think is incredibly important, and go, okay, what's the objective that I'm trying to achieve? Hopefully their answer is make things better for the American people. And is the money that we're spending on USAID, is that actually the thing that's helping? Or could we begin to reallocate that? Or could we be using that money to reduce people's burden from a tax perspective? And if Doge is really getting to the point where they're saving somewhere between $1 and $3 billion a day from all of these reductions, what amount of disruption would we be willing to put up with to get those kinds of big changes? And so it will be interesting. I just really worry that I am going to learn a very powerful lesson, which is this is all propaganda. This is all spin on both sides. That the game is propaganda and spin. The game is presenting things in a way that get people to go along with your agenda. And if that's the truth, we come back to something that I think about a lot, which is The reason people manipulate using the media or a position of power is because people are so manipulatable. And we are all looking for a heuristic. And the heuristic that most terrifies me is tribalism. So a heuristic is just a fancy word for rule of thumb. Like, just give me the quick thing. Like, how do I vote? Just tell me, how do Republicans vote? I'll vote that way. Just tell me how Democrats vote. I'm going to vote that way. Instead of going in, looking at each of the candidates, seeing what they stand for.
Research.
Yeah, like building a mental map of the world that says, okay, these are the issues that I think really matter. And because I understand how these dots connect, then I understand the policy that's really going to matter. This is a big reason why I think we're having this moment right now is when COVID kicked off, I think a lot of people had the same experience that I had, which is, wait, the world doesn't work the way that I thought it does. My mental model is broken. I realized that my prediction engine was non-existent. Now that I know that I was not able to predict how things were going to play out, I want to begin to build a model that actually does have high predictive validity. And so that's going to require transparency. That's going to require people to make decisions on their own. And I have asked this community, and I will ask again, to please view me as an AI that has a strong, sincere take, but is meant to be taken in concert with a bunch of other people that you're using in the same way for you to build your own sense of what is a high functioning model of how the world works. So for me, I want to see the transparency happen. I want to see people be outraged by how we're spending money. And I want everything coming out of the government, with very few exceptions for national security, to be things that we all look at and go, no, I don't want to see things being spent that way. That's crazy. So I'm going to make sure that I'm calling my local congressperson and telling them that's absolutely unacceptable. This is madness. So that collectively we can start getting funds moved in the direction we want to see them go, that will have the greatest good for Americans.
No, 110%. And the interesting thing as we like dig down into this political data is that you start to see now, yes, they got this foreign aid they got this U.S. aid, and then you go one level deeper and you're seeing that it's HHS, the Department of Education, Department of Agriculture. So within the agencies, they're also commingling funds. So then it just becomes like this big mess of I don't want to call it payoff money. I'm trying to, assume good intent, but there's this entanglement of this agency is connected to this agency, is connected to this agency. So to your point, it's not that it's shadow, it's straight to, I'm using this money to go assassinate somebody in a small farm, but it's this agency is using my bidding and extending my power where I might have some limitations, or there might be a gate that's withholding.
Yeah, they found a loophole. They found a way to shovel very substantive amounts of money to pet projects, to scratch somebody's back, et cetera, et cetera. And this is where we get into, is this going to work? In a world with high velocity information and people wanting just a quick rule of thumb to make sense of things, will it work? Will people be able to navigate a world where there's this much level of information? And I don't yet know the answer. I don't know that people are going to be able to sustain the energy that we see right now for looking into all this stuff. In fact, somebody asked a really good question today in our Twitch stream where they said, okay, wait a second. What I want to know is where do I go to see all the things that you found? I don't want this to just be another propaganda arm where Elon finds a whole bunch of things and goes on X and only talks about the 3 that are going to outrage people. Like that's not going to cut it. I need something where I can go see this stuff for myself. I want a nice, simple place to go log in and check this stuff out. And I thought that was a really smart request, because at some point it becomes untransparent again, opaque, just based on they're going to pull things out. They're going to tell a story to make it simple, which people crave. And then it's just going to break tribally again. And you're going to get the left saying one thing, you're going to get the right saying something completely different. And if nobody takes the time to go look at the things that matter the most to them, you're just going to be in this weird space.
We'll definitely keep monitoring the situation. I feel like we're getting something new every day. So who knows the next agency that is going to go down.
And here's the thing, dude, as AI and technology is poured into the government and we modernize the government, you really are going to see how the government actually works. Not everybody is going to avail themselves of it, but this feels like an absolutely incredible moment. I tweeted out that transparency is an act of revolution. And that's really what it feels like. Like, I am fundamentally changing my mental map of what the government is, how the government functions. And just like I built a mental model of the financial system that really changed my sense of how to solve some of these problems, I think the same thing is going to happen on more individual levels of like money allocation within the government, how money should be acquired and spent from taxpayers, what taxpayers need to be notified on. And now we're going to have the systems by which we can notify them. And so the people that want to avail themselves of it are going to have a never-ending stream of, like we had the Twitter files, it's just going to be a never-ending stream of all these different places, what's really been going on. And my hope is that we get a new elite class, and that the elite class is, instead of being rich, instead of being close to a politician, the elite class become the most knowledgeable about how things actually work. And so just like you would go to an elite class of academics if you want to understand something about history, or you'd go to an elite class of academics that are going to tell you about economics, that there'll be this new elite class that are just so close to all the data that's being kicked out that they can really start to put data together for you to connect the dots of how the government has historically worked, why it feels like more and more barnacles on a turtle. What is this? Why are we drowning the turtle? What are going to be the barnacles that we need to remove in order to increase the engine of the economy? Because ultimately that's the only way out of the moment that we're in, other than war.
Sheesh. I'm so optimistic though, so I feel like we're gonna come around. I feel like this is not the end of the story.
Is that anchored on something, or do you just choose as an act of faith to be optimistic?
I'm choosing as an act of faith, because I really thought that because of the decisive victory over the election, people are gonna be like, okay, I'll give Donald Trump the chance. But to your point, we are 3 weeks in, and he's already, articles of impeachment have been introduced. Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, like they're already trying to figure out how to dismantle things, and he hasn't even started the presidency yet. So I could just see this getting more and more perverse, more rather than more and more better. Like,
and so you're forcing yourself as an act of faith.
Oh, then I'll be depressed every day. Then I'll be a heavy drinker, and this show will go a lot differently.
That's hilarious.
In other news, our boy Michael Saylor, I was about to say Micro Strategies. Our boy Michael Saylor dropped the micro and is now just Strategy B. He is a full-blown Bitcoin treasury, the first and largest Bitcoin treasury company. I remember you kind of called this during our interview with him, where you said that he was genius putting his company on the rails of Bitcoin, and I see now he kind of went all in. What's your first reaction?
Yeah, so I know one of the things that I say that people take umbrage with is that the entire stock market is gambling. And once you understand the stock market as gambling, then suddenly all these fancy names that people put, like puts and calls and all the options trading and all that stuff, is really just people finding more and more creative ways to place bets with the market, against the market. And the thing that is really brilliant that Saylor did was he understood that people would want to gamble that same way on Bitcoin. And so he pulled the entire financial system, all those options and things like that, on top of Bitcoin by becoming a public company whose product is holding Bitcoin. And so now you can bet against Bitcoin going up, going down. It's really, really smart. It's one of those, it's a way of being smart that is very impressive, but it has to do with the very thing that I want this show to be, which is we as a community are exploring how the world really works. And I think Saylor identified that you have an extremely high volatile asset that matches what he calls monetary physics. And so from his perspective, it is an inevitability that more and more money is going to flow into that it is, from his perspective, it is an inevitability. And given the inevitability of that, and given the fact that the real nature of the stock market is to allow people to gamble, if I can pull that on top of that, I can build what I believe has been the highest performing company of the last 5 years, 7 years. I mean, some crazy number of years. And again, what's his real product? His real product is giving the average person the ability to use all of the gambling mechanisms of the stock market, but on Bitcoin. It's genius. It's literally genius.
And it is working for him.
It's working for a lot of people, man. Yeah. This is why I wish, I've really tried. I've talked to a lot of people about this who are trying to convince me that this is not gambling. And every time I walk away going, the right way to see this is gambling. It has way more higher predictive validity because the big dollar movements on all of this stuff is not tied to fundamentals. I'm not saying there aren't fundamentals there. I'm just saying that's not how these companies are valued. They're valued based on sentiment. They're valued based on how people feel about it, not based on the fundamentals. And if you know that people want to gamble based on sentiment, and you can give them this ultimate thing to gamble on that has this high volatility, there's always something happening, it's trading 365, 24 hours a day, like, yeah, gangster.
Yeah, and to your point, one of the highest performing stocks of the last 5 years, because it was $12 in August of 2020, and it just closed at 336. So that's more than 360x. Like, it's crazy. So we shall see how that works out. I'm Bitcoin long, so I feel like it's the right move. So
yeah, I mean, look, not financial advice, but in terms of thesis, like have a thesis, and unless something breaks in your thesis, yes. And the thesis on Bitcoin seems very simple. More people over time will believe in a digital future. Money is one of the most important things when you think about what your future is going to be. Making money digital, clearly people are literally rushing to make money digital. It's already been digital in a weak way.
Yeah.
And now it's becoming digital in a sound way. I won't fractal into that. But that is, I think, the thing that you can bet on. Just even if you just look at it from a wealth transfer perspective, you got a lot of boomers who are about to die. They're going to hand that money to their kids. What are their kids going to do with it? Kids are going to put some percentage, maybe small, but they're going to put some percentage of the wealth into Bitcoin. So as long as that is true, then that number is going to keep going up because it is finite. And so you have people competing for a scarce resource, trying to get away from inflation. And if we can't GDP our way out of the inflation, then that's really going to be a thing. Now, a bigger question is, what if AI does all the things that I think it's going to do, and we literally drive all that inflation, all that debt down by having such a technological boom that we unlock 4 or 5% GDP, and now there's just money flying around everywhere. It's roaring 20s and everything is great. Then Bitcoin, I hope, becomes boring, where now it's just a commodity. It's more like gold. It's a great place that you can sock your money away. You don't expect it to swing in like these huge ways. But we'll see. We'll see if that plays out. But that I feel like I can see pretty clearly, that over time it is going to lose its volatility. Is that 4 years? Is that 40 years? I don't know. But I think it will lose its volatility slowly over time. It'll just be a great place like gold, where you can store wealth, not build wealth, store wealth.
Copy that. Okay, let's take a trip to a dark corner of the internet I did not know existed. And this is white people Twitter, the subreddit.
White people Twitter. Let's go. Okay.
On Reddit. So this has gotten increasingly more dark since the Doge announcement. USA kind of sparked it up, so we're starting to see some scathing comments. F you, Elon. We're bringing out the guillotines. I vote for Elon. Seeing Elon in the guillotine in Capitol Square. He could kill somebody, but he can't spell check. Who wants to drop off a guillotine at the OBN building in DC tonight? And then here goes another one. This is more recently, a bunch of we should storm the White House. So that
sounds familiar.
Yeah, right. So how do you feel about, I guess, Democrat insurrectionists? Like, is this a thing?
I mean, look, in the same way that I looked at January 6th and I was like, look, I get it. There were people that did bad things. If you attacked a cop, you should go to jail 100%. He shouldn't have pardoned the people that went to jail for attacking cops. But if you put the shoe on the other foot, one should not be changing their opinion about it. So to me, it's like, whether it's your team or the other team that's saying, hey, look, I feel so disenfranchised. I feel something so bad has happened that I want to see my voice be heard. As long as it is not people showing up with weapons and like going crazy, I get it. Like, hopefully it doesn't go too far. Hopefully people bring in the Guard if they really think, the National Guard, if they really think that this is going to pop off. Way better, keep it controlled, no FBI agents trying to rile people up. Unless people are calling for violence or one of the other things that the Supreme Court has said violate free speech, you've got to let people say what they're going to say. Now, admittedly, a lot of what you just showed me are direct calls to violence. And so I think a lot of that already crosses a line. But I want to see as much grace given to anybody that feels disenfranchised, that feels that they need to speak up, that's scared. I will assume these guys aren't trolling. So yeah, I'm not mad at it. People need to be very careful with their language. That's something I think on both sides, people need to dial the rhetoric back. So yeah.
I remember we saw it with the Luigi United Healthcare assassination, where we saw kind of this bubbling of eat the rich, it's time to take back what's ours type thing. I look at some of these, posts, and I'm seeing that same type of like, it's time to take to the streets and do something. Do you think that this temperature is kind of gaining steam? Like, to me, this is like it's...
Well, so this is the thing I was talking about in our previous episode. You are driving on black ice. And I don't yet know if the car is going to spin out of control when it hits black ice and people really take to the streets. Or if just every now and then you're going to lose a little bit of traction, but you get back on. So a lot of this is going to have to do with what are the results of his policies. So if we are doing all of this and Elon gets caught that he did something that he profited by, and like he went into this department and did this thing and it jumped his stock price, that's going to be a bad look. People are really going to have a problem with that. If that happens and we've gone into a recession from too many tariffs or, whatever the case may be, now this stuff starts to add up and it goes the wrong way. If they start doing this and it's like, oh, we're saving $3 billion a day. They figure out how to message that really cleanly. This is how much you're saving from the amount that we've reduced. This is how much each of you owed against the national debt, and that number's going down. Like, we're actually delivering for you guys. We're bringing manufacturing back. We've already gotten concessions from Mexico and Canada. So it's like, if he's able to deliver enough good stuff, you're in really good shape. You're going to have people that are disgruntled. You're going to have people that are very angry. And boy, oh boy, would I like to see people inherently distrust themselves if they find themselves calling for violence. So at that, like if I found myself about to tweet something like that, I'm going to slow down here, pump the brakes.
How am I feeling today? What's going on?
Yeah. So I really... I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. This is just people popping off online. I don't want to live in the UK where people are getting arrested for things that they tweet. People do need to dial it back. So basically, if you put out a tweet that directly calls for violence, honestly, I'm not a run out and get them right now kind of guy. You're just begging for pain. You got to give some amount of like, sponge it up, keep things from getting out of hand, give a little bit of grace. But people need to make sure that they're attached to reality. So far, nothing crazy has happened. So we're getting transparency. We're seeing things that we don't like. They are shutting down departments, which they said they were probably going to do. So none of this is out of step with what they promised to do coming into office. Yeah. I think it is very shocking for people the rate at which it's happening. So I think that's ruffling some feathers. But the thing that I worry about, the black ice that scares me the most, is the people that hate Trump have not stopped hating Trump. And so now that he feels like Trump on steroids, it's like, where does that go? Yeah. And if they run out of logical ways to pursue it, because before they always had, like, they were trying to do the impeachments, they were trying to get him arrested, and they just, all the bullets are out of the gun now. You're shooting blanks at this point. Mm-hmm. And so if they feel truly impotent, that they're not able to make change, how rapidly does that spill into my only recourse is violence? And I don't think I made a secret that it is certainly possible that the internal cold civil war, we start seeing pockets of violence. Now, I don't think it'll be much more than that. Like, I'm not reading the situation and thinking, oh, like things are getting so bad, that's where this goes. But we'll see. I mean, I guess keep your eyes on white people Twitter, which
and see where it goes.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of white people on Twitter, Trump released a video talking
That's
about,
that's our transition. The president of the United States is white guy on Twitter. All right, cool.
He signed an executive order banning all boys and men in girls and women's sports. Let's watch the video.
With my action this afternoon, we're putting every school receiving taxpayer dollars on notice that if you let men take over women's sports teams or invade your locker rooms, you will be investigated for violations of Title IX and risk your federal funding. There will be no federal funding. So this will effectively end the attack on female athletes at public K-12 schools and virtually all U.S. colleges and universities. I don't think we've missed anything, but if we do, we'll make it up very quickly with
Wow. And said that filled with a bunch of women and athletes behind him, clapping in solidarity. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, this to me is a pretty obvious move. Now, admittedly, 5 years ago, this would have felt like really radioactive, and it would not be a topic that I wanted to touch. Seeing how this has consumed J.K. Rowling, I am very sad. I'm very glad. Obviously, she cares about this so deeply, and knowing her past, I get it. But seeing how all-consuming it became to stand up and speak out against this, that's pretty brutal. And so I'm very glad that we're past that. This, though, does seem like the most self-evident move of all time. Why do I think that? Because the reality is that men and women are biologically different. You can't imagine how surprised I was to hear that was controversial. So I had my head down for, 2 decades just building companies. And I one day say, like, well, obviously men and women are different. And somebody was like, whoa, like, I don't think you understand. I was like, wait, what? That's controversial? Like, I had no idea. I think that Jordan Peterson is right, that it is possible that from the architecture of the human mind, it is the most deep-seated, biologically encoded division that we have. And when you think about from a survival standpoint, you have to understand the difference between men and women. And so that one always felt like, whoa, I did not expect to end up here. I don't know if we're all the way to the idea that they're doing it simply to completely erode the foundations of modern thought. That's like the take on the French postmodernists. Maybe yes, maybe no. I haven't looked closely enough at it to say one way or the other. Yeah. But just look at, from an evolutionary standpoint, men and women are very different. And for me, this is the most clarifying thing ever. Because women are the sexual gatekeepers, men are the answer to the question of what do women want. And so women want, not in like a we did this kind of way, but in a blind watchmaker way of throughout evolutionary history, it behooved women to grant sexual access to men that were stronger, certainly in physical upper body, that were more aggressive, that were more risk-taking, all of that. And so now you create this thing that's just going to be better at most sports that use fast twitch fiber, explosiveness, strong upper body, like all of those things. And we're not talking at the averages here. We're talking at the end of the bell curve. So the best of the best. So the greatest male athlete in the vast majority of sports is always going to outperform the greatest female athlete, and by a lot. And so once you know that, then it's like, okay, well, hold on a second. If we know that that is true, and you're talking about letting biological men compete in female sports, you're going to see a very obvious thing take place, which is all of the biological males will begin to dominate in those sports. So then it becomes a question of, do women want to compete in sports against the best players regardless of sex? Or are they more comfortable being like, look, I'm never going to be as good as those guys. And so I want to play with people that are more naturally grouped around my talent set. So this is a big thing in gaming where if you're playing a competitive game, there's something called an ELO score. So you get a rank based on the people that you beat, by how much you beat them, who beats you, by how much. And they, kind of like in chess, they give you a ranking. And so you, in fact, literally ELO score comes from chess. So you now get this rank. And so you're always playing against people that are roughly in your rank. And so if you ballpark it too, they're trying to create a situation where you win 50% of your games. So it's like, cool, it's a great place to be. You work a little bit harder. Maybe you can increase that number, and now you have a winning season, and fantastic. So it really feels like if I work hard, I can get ahead. Yeah. And now you're putting them in a situation where no matter how hard they work, they're going to be going up against people that are so far outside of their ELO score they're just going to dominate on them.
Yeah.
And so if I had to play video games against a world champion 14-year-old, that's not going to be fun.
Yeah.
Like he's just going to be able to do things physically that I can't do given my age. And so you want some arbiter of why I play against this person or that person. Now, one easy way to do it is to just do it by sex. Now, the reason I think that's better than giving every sport an ELO score is that it is just inevitable that, take soccer, for instance, the greatest female soccer player of all time will never make a professional male soccer team. It's just not going to happen. And so there's footage, it's horrible, of the I want to say 15-year-old team beating the professional women's team. I think it was the team, don't hold me to this, but I think it was the team that won the World Cup. And they dominate all the women in the world. But they get their asses handed them by a bunch of 15-year-olds just because of the physical power, speed, aggression, all of that. It's just a totally different game. So that's where I would love to see just some, hey, we do encounter the real world. We want to be compassionate, but we're just up against the truth of biology here. So you can give a man all the hormones you want in the world, but if they grew up with male hormones, they go through puberty as a male, their tendons are thicker, they have more fast twitch fibers. Like there's just all these different things that go into it. And so the great example, I forget if it's Dave Chappelle, but was like, you could give all the estrogen in the world, all the female hormones in the world to LeBron James, and he's still going to score 125 points in a WNBA game. And so then the next question becomes, well, then we should be stopping them from going through puberty. That's where I throw a very aggressive flag on the field. I think that for reasons that are probably beyond the scope of this conversation, that is, do I want to say criminal? I want to say criminal. I'll say that I'm using that as a temporary word for now. I'd want to think through that more, but that legitimately feels criminal to me. Just as I would be aghast if somebody let their kid get a tattoo at 9, I would be aghast if they put them on hormone blockers. We just do not know the long-term consequences, the stuff that's coming out of Europe on the studies that they've done on this, because they were really early to that trend. They are not good. And I know that certain clinics have stopped offering transition surgeries to people because they've ended so badly. It's just, for better or worse, man, we do not have biology mastered like that yet. Now, if one day we do, and you can go through a process that legitimately changes you at the cellular level and there's no ongoing side effects, I could not care less. If somebody wants to switch gender, I don't think there's any moral problem with that. It's not weird. Like, hey, do your thing. Yeah. But we're not in that moment. And so you're taking these incredible risks at an age that I just think is absolutely insane. And start throwing in Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and you get parents that want their kids to go down that path. And now parents are encouraging, oh God. So that one just strikes me as a very bad idea. So yeah, I expect that to be very popular.
I feel like it's popular now, but you kind of struck it in the head when you first started, in the sense that this was a toxic idea. For him to even come out and say it wasn't easy to. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel attacked and violated because of this statute. But I don't know. I think the K through 12 thing is where I kind of draw my line. Because if this was a 21-year-old professional league, like, yeah, if you guys want to intermingle, to your point, do your thing, it doesn't really matter. But to your point, instead of it being, okay, little girls, little boys competing, there's a difference between those two sports. So instead of us separating them, let's make the little boy go on these medications, and then now he's okay and it's just like you're trying to medically intervene on something that hasn't even been fully developed yet, and just let it cook. Like, let that person, they can't even drink yet, but they know they can like switch gender. Like, I feel like that's a little bit too soon. It's a little bit too soon for me.
Aggressively agree, but let's go back to the one that you don't have a problem with. The 21, and they're going to change their league. Would you be okay with a woman in that league saying, okay, then I would like to take testosterone, like inhuman amounts of testosterone?
God bless you.
So you're cool with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one's like the open field. Anybody transgender, come on in. Females on testosterone, I'm here for it.
You can go in and you can try it, because I definitely think that you will get exposed, because I think there are.
When you say you will get exposed, what do you mean?
Because I was thinking, like, a lot of times I have seen people try to cross over because they underperform in their biological gender. So they go to the opposing gender to try to get a leg up. To your point, they're trying to become, they might be 134th in their gender, then they go to the other gender and they might be number 3 or 4 and they're going to move up.
Or 1 by a country mile.
Or 1.
Yeah.
And I was going to say you get exposed, but then I thought about like the Olympic situation where it was alleged, but she just had higher testosterone levels. But is that enough? Is it an XY chromosome? And now we're like doing blood analysis on people. And I'm just like, what happened to just like sport? Like,
but what do you mean? We do blood analysis on people all the time for doping.
No, but I'm saying is that like we created girl sports for a reason. So the fact that now we're trying to undo that and act like the people who did it before were completely idiots.
But did you just go back to the young kids? Because I want to be in the most problematic of the things that you said. The hardest one.
You just want to step into my problematic view?
Well,
I'm because I'm talking.
Hold on. Not your problematic view.
Yeah.
It's the hardest one to answer. Because, yeah, it's not kids.
Yeah.
So these are adults. Let them do what they want. So I'm saying that's a much harder question to answer. So let's look at the hard one. Because I think neither of us are going to get as much backlash for saying, yeah, don't do on young kids. But let's really lean into the backlash. So in that 21, because I have what I think is the silver bullet. This is you cannot do what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I have to understand, like, for instance, how do you feel about Lance Armstrong doing all the blood doping that he did to win at the Tour de France? Like it, hate it.
It's illegal, so I hate it. And the only reason I'm putting the quotes is because like I wasn't checking for bicycle like doping. I didn't know it was that big of a deal. I didn't know it was that rampant. It's just like baseball. I like baseball when they were on steroids. It was more fun. They hit more home runs.
Okay, so you are cool with that.
Yeah,
like I want to see
like
the biggest freaks in nature doing whatever
perform
they
at the
wanna do.
absolute highest level. I had somebody who used to play baseball growing up. They said people think you take steroids and now all of a sudden you're good at something. You still have to have skills. You still have to have talent. A needle isn't going to magically solve all your problems. Now it can separate you from other people who might have the same talents but didn't take that extra step. So
do you want to see the boards do anything to limit the harms to the players, even though it would make them better?
Limit the harms to the players.
If you do a bunch of growth hormone and stuff like that, it is going to shorten your life. I mean, that is basically a guarantee. So knowing that, but there will be more fun to watch.
I didn't know that steroids kill you. I didn't know that it would.
I didn't go that far.
You said it will shorten your life, so
it will you don't have to look a lot farther than bodybuilders to see like what happens when you're on that stuff. It can affect the size of the valves in your heart and does all kinds of crazy stuff. So I don't think anyone is going to say that the unchecked use you will see in professional sports when there is a financial incentive to get bigger, faster, stronger, it will go crazy. If people just say, do whatever you want. In fact, it's made legal. Can people play coked out so that they don't feel the pain and they're way more aggressive?
I'm not mad at that either.
You're being very consistent. So
I know, I'm really not bad at that either. I heard there was rumors that certain basketball players were playing high because they play better high.
Yeah.
It was just like a conversation with the coach. Don't ask, don't tell. Look the other way, and I'll drop my 30 points.
You're perfectly happy. Hey, it's consistency. I love that. So as who was it? I think it's the guy from PragerU, Dennis Prager, I believe, who said, I don't mind disagreement. I just look for clarity. And that is very clear, Drew. I think that there is something to be said about what I'll call like the robot league, where humans can augment themselves, go crazy. But to me, that's very separate. If I'm watching, say, the Olympics, what I really want to see is what can a human do? Not what can an augmented human do, which that could also be cool. Maybe that's way better. Maybe we all get into it and we just accept, hey, when you go into that, like you're going to shorten your life. You're going to do things that are absolutely terrible for you. But if you want to do it and we want to watch you do it, great. I legitimately have no problem with that. If it's an adult and they're making their own decisions, don't care. As long as it's all above board, it's out there, like let them go ham. Neurological implants, I'm here for it. Like do your thing. That to me, I'm not weirded out about that. But that to me needs to be its own separate thing. Like if somebody said, hey, like when Vince McMahon launched the XFL, we're doing an all transgender league. Yeah, word, let's go. Like, why? I don't know why anybody would have a beef with that. Now you might watch it and go, well, they're faster and stronger than women, but they're not like all the way to like a full male who's using all of their natural testosterone and pushing themselves. And so I'd rather watch that. But at least that makes sense. Like even playing field. I just want to know what the playing field is.
Yeah.
And for me, I would love to see a league where it's like, this is humans. Like as close to unadulterated as possible. But like if it's training, I'm all for, yeah, they can use steroids if they've been injured to overcome an injury or something like that. I don't have a beef with that. So, and I think they have ways around that now where it's like you have to be clean for 6 months or something. Yeah. So anyway, that is my take. I think this one will be way less controversial than it was before, but at least now we can talk openly about the deal.
Yeah, I'm curious to see the ripple effects because, like you pointed out, the Olympics was the biggest one. I think that we can remember the boxer who was knocking everybody out, and then the one lady, I think she was from Ukraine, who like protested, didn't even want to fight her because of this. So, yeah.
What did you think about her protesting?
I feel like you have that opportunity. I don't know if you should use it to be political. Personally, like I would have went out swinging. But that's just all ego talking. So
that's tough because it is a impact sport. Yeah. And so if you're going up against somebody that can really like give you permanent brain damage, for instance, that's tough because there are male fighters that can kill other male fighters. So if you're going in with somebody that has the genetic profile through a twist of fate, whatever, they have the genetic profile of a male and you don't. Yeesh. The connective tissue, the strength of the muscles, the explosiveness. You're taking a lot of shots to the head to prove a point. That one starts to worry me. That one I don't know what to do about though. If she is genetically female but just happens to have ridiculously high testosterone, but if I remember right, there were markers that she was not clearly female.
Yeah, it wasn't XY. It was XY, not an XX or something.
Yeah,
like that.
It wasn't like a. I didn't look closely enough at it, but it was my understanding that this was like a rare genetic thing. It wasn't like she was trans, but anyway, I don't know if that's true.
All right. We're going to hold here because we're literally.
All right, cool. We'll pick it back up. You've got everything locked in, what you want to do?
Yes.
All right, cool.
It's literally 2 more topics, AI and relationships. Then we're done.
Nice. Thank you, Eric.
You want to say bye to chat?
Chat, I'll be back. I don't know if you'll still be here, but this was awesome, at least from my side. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. We can do it more.
Yes, I want to say goodbye.
Get on there.
Hello. Thanks guys for joining us today. Oh my gosh, look at you all, you guys. You guys were all sitting here so politely and nicely. So cute. Okay. I hope you guys like this format. I hope you guys had fun. Oh, this was fun. You guys are answering my questions right away. Thank you. This was fun. Thank you. Jordash, have a good night. Hello, goodbye. Straw Hat, this was fun. Thank you. Guida, hostess with the mostest. Thank you. Goober already taken. Hello, you guys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with us today, and really appreciate you guys giving us some topics, putting some stuff in the chat, keeping the conversation flowing. And again, if you guys have any more things you want Tom and Drew to talk about for any of the Tom Bilyeu Show episodes, or if you guys want to leave Tom some questions, please do so. And I'm really happy that you guys were able to spend some time with us. So thank you. Yeah, Drew, do you want to say anything? Do you want to say goodbye?
Sheesh, that was messed up, Jay. You didn't give me a 1, 2, 3. I wasn't prepared for it. I was shaking my head. He just turned the camera like, oh hey.
I queued you up.
Thanks for hanging out, chat. It's been real. It's been fun. I want to play video games next time, please. So next time I'm gonna crash. I'm actually get on, and we can hit the sticks. That's it. That's all I got.
Yay! Thank you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Tom will be in the next one. Actually, no, he won't. Tomorrow's me. Again, just me. So see you guys tomorrow, 2 p.m. Splatoon would be lit. Okay, goodbye, guys. Thank you. Have a lovely rest of your day. Everybody, bye. Bye.